n'aba supporting ebbanga lyonna so si Museveni ekyo njagadde bwa garanti njagadde kibaako garanti nti talina buyinza ku bulamu bwange n'okubeerawo kwange wano okubeerawo kwange kuvunaanyizibwa ku ggwanga Uganda bannayuganda n'ensi mwendi so si bo so kati njagala bba wa garanti okujja nga tunage nti anzijeewo n'ebisigadde byonna mwongere ku ssaba bisigadde bijja ttambula bulungi nnyo yensobola kinzija n'enkola ebintu bino n'embyogera nebibeerawo kati atuvudde mutegedde ensonga bulungi nnyo era njala tugende mu maaso tutambule ne vidiyo eno nga bwalina okubeera olwaleero mu kusookera ddala njala twogere ebigambo wano olwaleero omukulembeze leero abaddeko ku mutimbagano ogumu gwe wayita Bloomberg n'atuwa ebigambo bino njagala sooke ku bigambo by'omukulembeze bino then tulyoke tusimbule vidiyo yatuleese ebigambo omukulembeze bino abyogedde ku mukutu ogwo njagala mubiwulire bulungi nnyo kuba basinga obungi mbalete biwulidde ng'abyogera then tuleke tugende mu maaso ayogedde bw'ati.
The Ugandan government is known for enacting laws targeting individuals. A short while ago they enacted a law called Public Order Management Act targeting the former opposition leader Dr. Kizza Besigye, restricting people to meet without the clearance of the police. Now they've enacted this law targeting myself and other forces of change, all other dissidents that are not in the country, trying to curb political engagements outside the country. After cutting off all funds that is legally and constitutionally allocated to the opposition, now they're trying to incapacitate the opposition by stopping any funding unless it goes through the minister. In this law, I must also mention that it is provided that any Ugandan that leaves the country is referred to as a foreigner, and Ugandans that are living outside the country that send money back home to the people that receive that money are regarded too as agents of foreigners. This is meant to cut down all funding to incapacitate the opposition and to, maintain regime survival. It is one of those embarrassing laws that are used by tyrants, by authoritative leaders to ensure that they incapacitate the opposition.
How do you sustain a party then if this is in fact the law now of the country?
Well, we were told by Martin Luther King that when a law is unjust, it is not only right to disobey or to break that law, but it becomes a moral duty to break that law. So it will become a moral duty for Ugandans to creatively break that law. Of course, it's going to be challenged in court, but because the judicial system is also in the pocket of General Museveni, the Ugandan dictator, there's no hope even in the law. The only option by Ugandans is to ensure that they remove that regime so that we can be able to repeal all those oppressive laws.
All right. Omukulembeze ebiga byayogedde lwali babadde ku mukutu ogumu ogw'amawulire mu America ebiga byayogedde. Kati Mr. President nkulamusizaako wonna wooli manyi oli bulungi Mukama akkingirize. Nsaba okutegeeza wonna wooli w'otambulira oyongeremu ebyokwerinda by'olw'ensonga nti kati America egenda kufuuka destination ya buli batembo bonna aba state abakolera state omuli ne baminisita abagenda okuba nga bajja mu America buli kaseera naye ng'ekibaleese kumanya abatembo baabwe batuuseewa mission zaabwe zituuseewa era mbayinza n'okutabira nnyo mu office nga bajja kubatambula naye ng'ekikulu kyebasiira mujja kirabako nga minisita basinga obulina abantu mu state nga batambula nnyo okuyingira eggwanga lya America nga kibaagala okumanya operation zaabwe zituuseewa ez'okuba nti bafuna omukulembeze okumutuusaako obulabe ne family ye. So Mr. President wonna wooli nsaba okuluma kukutu nkutegeeze nti abatamanya ngamba bagenda kubayingira mu miresa zino twogere essaawa zino ndowooza Baramba Rugahara ayinza okuba yatuuse ekiro kya leero ayinza okuba yatuuse y'omu ku bazze okufolowinga project zaabwe ez'okutuusaako obulabe bwe zituuse ye mwali ate era agenda kuba akufolowinga wonna ogenda wonna ogenda okuba nga otambula kubanga entambula zo sizimanyi ajja kuba akufolowinga olw'ensonga kati batambulirako ensonga ez'okuba nti baagala kukola ki baagala kutuusaako obulabe oba famire. So Mr. President wonna wooli tambula ng'ekyo kimanyi ekirala kino njala kigamba nakyo kitegeere. Abantu bangi mu chapter ez'enjawulo nabo si balungi bakudiringa nabo era beegendereze nnyo abantu bangi mu chapter begendereze nnyo si balungi era gwe nga bw'otambudde bw'omanyi bw'okola ebintu bye sigenda kwongerezaako njagadde kugamba kigambo ekyo okitegeere kati awo tuvuddewo kati abazze bangoberera mu ntalo zembaddemu wano ku social media nga nwanagana ne gavumenti y'ennyanja esofeeri ebbanga lyonna ne ba comrade omulimu gwe bakoze ebbanga lyonna mwambudde gavumenti to the maximum oba to the fullest nti bakyasobola kudifendinga byokulobera byabwe wabula olwaleero njagala nsooke nkuzzeeyo ku lutalo ddeka busa olutalo lwalimu Frank Gashumba nga lutaddemu First Lady Babi Itungo nga lutaddemu ne President olutalo lwo natwalira Gashumba mpaka kuwulira bubi nakugamba oba nakugambye wiiki eno gye tufundikira ne wiiki ejja okuggwako mugenda tegeera ebintu bingi kuba waliwo okulira okukomba essowaani kati njagala mutandika okugoberera entalo ezigenda okgenda maaso mu National Resistance Movement ng'entalo ziri mu bokka zigenda kubagirayo ebyama 1 mu lutalo oli wakati wa Speaker Anita Amongi n'abantu be by the way njagala bategeeza nti Mao baleeta muleete to distract Anita Amongi naye nga bo baali baleese oboth yayinza okubeera n'abalala nga banavaayo ne kati kansooke nkuddizeeyo ky'otamanyi olutalo luno lugenda mu maaso nakuga buli kintu kirabemu omukisa era okitegeere mwalwana wano saalwana bw'omutwalwana ffenna mujjukira Frank Gashumba Kasaboni bwe yajja n'agamba ensi nti agenda ku exposinga His Excellency Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu nga mukyala we bwe yagenda mu State House nga ne videos na n'ebifaananyi abirina mujjukira bulungi abaaliwo mu biseera ebyo ne ngamba Frank Gashumba nkusiba nze okuva ku bwenyi bw'ekitabo okuva ku social media bw'oleeta ebifaananyi bya Babi ng'ali mu State House oba ng'afunye omulimu gwa UN yajja n'abyogera ku TV ne ku radio kati diiru eyo olwaleero oba jjo lwevuddeyo ne mugitegeera ne agiggyeyo kati kansooke mbategeeza ebintu bino bitegeere bulungi maye bulijjo mbategeeza ne mbagamba temanyi Museveni bwa operatinga era mulina okuyiga ennyo Museveni wa operatinga mu struggle ne mu revolution mwena abadde bagoberera politics wa Uganda mujjukira nti David Kabanda yasooka okuba almost ng'alinga PA wa Anita Amongi nga yalinga PA wa Anita Amongi nga yamukuutira akadingidi yamudifendinga yamwongerera ne batuuka n'okusasula ssente bafamire z'abakomuliri baffe okuli famire z'abakomuliri abasinga obungi bawa ssente nga Anita Amongi akirimu nga Kabanda yamukwatira ensa mukijjukira bulungi nnyo mukijjukira bulungi kati nga Kabanda yali PA almost yalinga personal secretary oba yalinga bodyguard wa Anita Amongi ekyo tekyajja by coincidence no Museveni rode yali alina information ekwata ku Anita Amongi nti muntu mubi nnyo ni yalina omukozesa omuzanyira emizannyo gye in the first place omwali okusula ekibiina kya National Platform omwali n'okujja obulamu bwa Kyagulanyi nga Anita Amongi kubanga ezo muyina information gye mugenda okufuna nga omukazi yavudde mu ofiisi eyo mugenda kutya kati omukyalo oyo baamutega Kabanda n'afuuka PA wa Anita Amongi almost nga buli kimu yakyo kitegeeza Kabanda bamusindika commission okwefuula mukwano gwa Anita Amongi n'amubega from Monday up to Monday daily weekly monthly n'abanga alina information n'agigatharinga bulungi nnyo bw'amala ogigatharinga bulungi nnyo n'akitegeera nti kati amaze okukola ki okumubega bw'amala omubega kati ki ekyazze bye baali biyinza information ekwata ku Anita Amongi ne bagita kati ffe kyetwagalamu ekinyusi kyekiruwa mu byonna bina bisigadde z'entalo zaffe tuzaagala kyetwagalamu ekinyusi kyekiruwa ekinyusi kyekiruwa nti nammere newankubadde wa NRM mission zonna ze baazanyanga okuzanya blackmail propaganda against His Excellency Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu ne no azijjayo n'azoogera bw'akugambye nti Kabanda lwakuba ayogedde Kabanda mission eno yalimu naani ne Kasabuni nti baakwata omukazi ne bamutwala mu State House nga musibye leesu ne baganda omukazi wa Kyagulanyi Saidi Dish amwinamu n'abaana basatu yagenda otuwa information okudestroy Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu kati olw'okuba nti ono akirese mu format nti yali mukazi Saidi Dish baleta mukazi nga amuyise Babi Itungo yensonga lwaki Frank Gashumba yajja n'agamba nti I can destroy Kyagulanyi and Babi and I bet nja kuleta ebifaananyi yali mu State House n'omwana omulimu gwa UN ne mugamba bw'oleeta ebifaananyi ebyo video nga Babi yali mu State House nva ku social media Frank Gashumba teyabireeta era byambulira wabula mu lutalo luno olwanita mongi ate amazima gavuddeyo ne geeyoleka kyenda kugamba nti buli lutalo olujja lutuulemu oluwuliremukko katono amazima gajja kuvaayo ekitegeeza buli muntu yenna woyina okutegereza essaawa zino wetugenda mugenda kulaba ennyumba ya sitaani nga yeekomyeko omuliro yokka nga yeekomyemuko omuliro lwaki yeekomyeko omuliro buli kyonna kye baakozesa tuli gye baakozesa okubulakamairinga Nuupu okubulakamairinga pulezidenti egenda kuva yeeyeeye kube ku meeza olw'ensonga nti sitaani atuuka ekiseera n'alabisa abantu bano ulira bulungi nnyo njala nkuwa information ng'ojula bulungi nnyo ono ng'ageeyogerera then kati okwate obwongo obuzze mabega Frank Gashumba we yagambye nti agenda ku exposinga president ne first lady ulira njagala nzanya akatambi kano
oyo yennyini Kabanda yaliwo nga bagireetera n'agikuba ebifaananyi kumba atereka blackmail era mwegendereza abantu bamuseka nabo mwensi nvundu ensimbi Kabanda yennyini yakutte ebifaananyi n'asomera mawuddiro kikati mulumbire mu kyammotoka emmotoka gyamanyidde ddala nti omukyalo oyo si ye yagigula egisasulira emisolo ng'erina oyingira eggwanga it was a gift naye ng'ate balina ogisasulira emisolo yingira eggwanga kwate yali as charity or anything it was just a luxury gift sipiika ayina emikwano baddangote bakwano be baani oli omusajja oli omugagga taata wa Mr. Izo Muyimbi bakwano sipiika ayamba abantu n'ayamba abasajja babadde muno nga baaba waliwo omusajja baali bamubba abafere ba gold nga bamubba $5 ng'asula mu Serena akaaba anoonya president bamukuba ekikono bamafiya buli wamu sipiika yeyamutwalayo ne baba tracking nga basesemyako $42 omusajja yali agenda n'amugulira oba iPhone ndowooza latest n'agimuwanga ekirabo esisimu ate no zikozesa ezimu kuba batamanyi nakye bataddemu ebyo birabulabo bantu bye baleeta ate Kabanda okimanyi naye gwe wennyini n'obiwadde ani mawo akatayi kaba tekannasala kkubo olw'okuba oluka biliyoni zine 10 ze wamusaba era obadde ng'okubira n'abayambi b'essimu ng'obagamba sipiika agayadde ate ssente mawa amutwala kumba oli gwamwikwipinga naye ng'emmotoka gy'ovuga ya parliament red number plate sipiika yagezaako n'okuwoobwa komishona pulezidenti Museveni n'agana n'agamba oyo Kabanda tayinza kukulembera yadde abantu ababiri okimanyi bulungi nti wakwata omukazi n'omusirika leesu n'omutwale wa president n'omugamba mbuno ono mukazi wa Bobi Wine owookubiri amuyinamu n'abaana 3 ne mwefulukutira ebigambo ne mulimba simanyi agenda kulya president Bobi Wine bomu ze baagala otega abaliyekera baakolagana nabo kumba olimba mwayoola biliyoni nga mutwala mbu simanya omukazi agenda awo abayekera basobole okwogera simanya bye bakola n'oli esente ng'ate gwe wennyini ozimulyako omukazi yaddayo akaaba n'ayogera amazima nti byabadde bipange okimanyi ekyakumisa obwa komishona
kati ebigambo ebyo ka video gye kasembedde obiwulidde bakomredi bajja ku social media kuno ne bawa search information before nga abantu bannajogera bennyini omu oba kummwe abenkyufu muga nti ebyo bano babijja ludda bye boogera listen muganda wange ekitawanya president kati kwe kulabisa gavumenti ya Museveni ekitawanya bakomredi bona bali makomera kwe kulabisa gavumenti ya Museveni ompulira ekintawanya kulwanyisa gavumenti ya Museveni nakugirabisa kati ono information gyafulumya twagifulumya dda era kyekitawanya bakomredi bona bali makomera propaganda blackmail Museveni gwakozesa ngira talina evidence ku bakomredi nasigadde mbuuza ekibuuzo eriyo bakomredi bakwatibwa 2019 tebakyaleetebwa na mu court ate nga si ba convict what went wrong kuba Museveni talina bujulizi direction Machete Bobi Yanga n'abalala tebaleeta mu court lwaki kubanga bali tebalina bujulizi biki baalimu jeji n'emizannyo nebwe tujja ntubawa information wano naga nerombo information yagijjawa nibi byayogera nga tebikwataga na muganda wange oyina essimu olina account oyina account ku Twitter oyina account ku Facebook oyina account ku TikTok kwate essimu gwe ojjeo owe information entuufu ngeyawukana kuja wabula towakanya kubanga kyowakanya toyina kuluku information yeyo kubanga tomanyi Museveni bwa operatinga bwati Museveni bwa za operatinga olw'ensonga nti ffe tunyooma information ne tulowooza nti agituwadde kale nyinza okuba muwalana naye nga towuliza ki kyakugambye ye ate ekyo tayatakola kubanga buli kimu akitula nga kiriki nga kiri kurusho nnyo kati ono ababuulidde information omukazi gwe batwala mu State House yoyo omukazi Kashumba gwe yali yeesibyeko nti ajja ku exposing first lady yafuna n'omulimu gwa UN lwakuba nti nakiyusizzamu nga tebagadde kweyabya n'akugamba nti era omukazi wali mukozesa mission nti agenti Kyagulanyi alina abayeekera babulira ebbomu na buli kimu kyonna yeyo yengeri Museveni gya operatingamu ne ttiimu ye gye bakolamu emirimu gyabwe bwe tujja ntubyogera bwe buzibu tufuna naye nga tetujja byogera lw'ensonga gwe kyoyita ekitono Museveni kyekinene ku ye gwe kyonyoma Museveni kyakola nti kinene ku ye kati gwe ate kyoyagala ekinene ekitasoboka oba kyotamanyi ate ne tosobola kituusaako ngalo wadde kyogera wadde kifoomingawo kati baganda bange mwenna gye muli njala bagamba ekigambo kimu ebyabadde Kolo mwabirabye okulayira kwabadde kufu yagamba aleta ba president 35 kwalabiseeko 7 n'abamu tebaatuuse mu kulayira n'okulayira kwennyini omuntu ebadde alina omukwasa instruments of power yabadde mutabani we so nga teyadde alina okubira head of public service nembalaga nti n'ekintu kyonna ekyabadde kinamu kyabadde kifu era tosobola kugula amaaso gwetegeeza nti ensonga weeri ekaaye kati kandi kuviire ku ntono bino bweti bwe mbyogera mugenda biraba bali mu kutagala essaawa zino naye mu kutagala kuno waliwo bagenda okufuniramu bizibu omukulu eyazze mu refugee camp Entebbe nga representinze eggwanga lya America eyazze gwe mwalabye nga bwe nabagambye nti musooke munoonyereze nnyo America tekola nsobe kusindika muntu oyo nga talina ki njala bagamba omwami yabadde aleese ebyafaayo bya Museveni okuva mu 18 mpaka olwaleero nga ebyafaayo byaleese byonna birimu emisango ebikolobero abaabikola ani abatuma baabikola ddi abantu abo nga bakyaliwo era gwe babikwasiza kennyini yasose ne yeesikanamu era kyovula nabagambye nti meeting gye babadde teri yagitegedde era teyadde mu mawulire olw'ensonga nebadde bamaze omusaavinga ebintu byabimanyi bulungi nnyo kati kino wogenda okutiira ensi wandirako nga abasaavingako mu gavumenti ya Museveni batandise okunogoka omu ku omu mu magye mu poliisi abaliko baminisita ne bambasada n'abantu ambe bakozesa emirimu egyo wandula nga batandise okunogoka omu ku omu gwo nayagala kujja obujulizi ekyo mukiringireko very soon njogedde ennaku z'omwezi 14 omwezi ogwokutaano mwaka 2026 mugenda kiraba ku lw'ensonga nti olwodde bamaze omwogere ffene bagimukubira ku meeza oli kyekyamuleese lwakuma nda temwakitegedde kyekyamuleese kati kyenva mbagamba bakomrede buli omu wooli njagala tukyuse strategy njagala tufokasinga tutya ngenda basa basinze mbalagira basaabusabi buli video gyokola video ebeera ya revolution ereme kubeera political ebeera ya revolution lwaki ereme kubeera political tumaze okukola analysis n'okukizuula teri revolution yali ewanguddwa oba yali etabiromba nabyabufuzi nebeera successful tesobola era ng'ekituufu kiri nti munnabyabufuzi yakola byabufuzi politician is not a revolutionalist ba revolutionalist bebakola ensonga z'okukyusa eggwanga teri politician yatuusiza ggwanga ng'alijja mu ntata ba politician bali meant kukola politics waabwe ekigambo kiri politics wa pretrick wabula ba revolutionalist ate bakola ebintu ebyenjawulo kati muganda wange njala kusaba video zonna z'okola tobesinga ku ba politician ba MOP bakoze ekino forget about those people era ngenda kusaba komre tokola video ng'olumba MOP yalayidde no tokola ekyo to finding a way out encouraginga instructinga creating more ways and avenues engekigenda counter-attacking revolution eno gyetugendamu olw'ensonga buli kimu kyonna ekiriwo essaazi nekikulaga nti abasajja bali mu nnaku zaabwe zisembayo n'ennaku zaabwe zisembayo be basinga okutya gwate asirise lwaki ngenda kikugamba bwe nti ekisookera ddala munnabyabufuzi yagenda kukola ebyobufuzi bye tagenda kwetaamu kwekalakaasa munnabyabufuzi olw'ensonga naye agenda kukolerera musaala ekifaananyi kyalina nti ye mukozi tagenda kukyusa ggwanga ku lwa bonna ekyo nakyo njalo kiteeke mu mutwe gwe bw'omala okiteeka mu mutwe gwo gwe ng'alwalirira enkyukakyuka gw'osinga okulumwa okusinga munnabyabufuzi kuba gw'olengera bingi okusinga ye asobola obbyogerako ne bw'amala otuuka wali ng'afuna omusala tasobola kujjukira ggwe atalina school fees ayita mu luguudo obi kubanga ye bamuwera emmotoka bukadde 100 obukadde 2 gw'osigala otambuza bigero osigaza otambuza booda omwana school fees alina omusasula ye abaana babeera ku peroolo kati kyenkugambye ntandika okukyusa obwongo bwo otandika okutegeera kiki olina okuzzaako mu nkola gye tuddako tugenda kuddako enkola eya revolution naye enkola ya revolution erimu ebintu bingi ekisooka enkola ya revolution teyeetaaga kwogera nnyo enkola ya revolution olina okunoonya ani gw'oyogera naye nga mufaanaganya endowooza si buli omu kyogenda mubulya kyogenda okukola no era ngenda basaba bannange temuddamu kuteeka mu ssumu ba politician bannabyabufuzi no mubeesonyiwe mwesonyi bannabyabufuzi kuba tebalina kye bagenda kugattako tebalina kye bagenda kugattako lwaki nkugamba ekigambo kino ekisookera ddala nti bwe tudda ntutunulira ebyafa bya Uganda byonna bibadde tebiripresentingibwa politics bibadde biripresentingibwa revolution ddayo okuba ettooki emabega ebyafa bya Uganda byobufuzi bibadde tebiri represented by politicians bibadde representingibwa revolutionist abasaana okubiwawumbi ne bakola ekiddako so si bana babina ku muzina bayogera byagenda okwogeranga ekyagenda funa omusaala no yensonga lwaki nti n'ennyando tebamukuba akalo mu kinaana yathootinga ku kintu kyokugenda mu protest vote gye yakozesa naffe olwali tulina okurizootinga ku kintu ekirala ekyefaananyizaako ku ekyo lwaki mu normal circumstance mu politics abantu abasinga obungi batuuka ekira bagamba nfaaki kankireke anti kiri nnomo kati kiri nnomo kubanga ye munnabyabufuzi agenda kuzanyira ekitu nga kiri nnomo akikuteerawo nga kiri nnomo oga byawedde tugenda kakyobola nti bakubuuza nnyo nti mugenda kuzzaako kyo baki bakubuuza ekibuuzo kino basuubira nti ogenda kusigala mu nnomo politics oba okitegedde bwekudwanyuma okuteeka mu nnomo politics bagenda kubba akalulu bakulage nti it's normal era kisigale nga kiri normal kyovula bakubuuza nti ozzaako kibamuzaako ki naye bwe tuba nga tuli mu revolution nga kitugenda okustrateginga teri agenda kubuuza nti ozzaako ki no kubanga revolutionalist talina budde bugenda kukadaala kwogera bintu bitagatta no bitayongerako revolutionalist agenda kukozesa ttulu yonna okuggyawo abo abeebuzaabuza bafuka bana abannabyabufuzi abatasobola kujja ggwanga mu nvuba era revolutionalist aba tadiringa na bannaddiini tadiringa na bafuzi bannono tadiringa na byabusuubuzi ye ekintu kimu kujjawo kyonna sisitimu akiyoolewo akole ekiddako ekyo munakiteekamu tuna mukyetegereza mujja tutegeera kiwa bwe tulage watuufu naye kati kaali bwe tuba nga tubeesinga tugenda mu politics byopolitics tekina kyetugenda kubanga kigenda kufuuka nnomo kati nga bwe kiri nnomo yes yakozesezza emundu n'awamba obuyinza talina ddera foomu yerangiridde asimbye ekifaananyi nti ye yalondeddwa mu mateeka era waali ba MOP balayidde mu mateeka weebali tolina sobola bagaana bakusiibira ekifaananyi nti si nomo era buli kimu kigenda tutambula nga bwe kiri era ogenda kulya ba YouTuber babloga baenanga kino kisajja kyatwanguyidde tewali wadde okuyiwa omusaayi tewadde wadde okutya gaasi tewali na muntu gwe bakoze eki kubanga bwano kyebatandise obbasiigamu nti kintu kiri kya bulijjo ekitali kya bulijjo bo kye baagala okusiga nti kya bulijjo kasita bakusigira ekifaananyi nti ekintu kya bulijjo jjajja oba owoomye okitegera bulungi jjajja oba owoomye kati kyenjagala ekyo tukyejjemu tutandike okutegeeza abantu kyekituufu ekyokukola lwaki mbaga tutegeeza abantu ekyokukola tulina omukisa ogw'amaanyi ennyo mu Uganda ogutabangawo nti eggwanga lyayunitinga for the first time nga teryawudde mawanga. Secondly, buli kitundu kya Uganda Museveni yakikosa kirina obulumi. Thirdly, nti abantu bategedde Museveni si munnansi Fourthly, abantu bategedde abasajja bali mu kutubba. Ekyokutaano, bategedde nti ne wobeera muno mu politics era Museveni agenda kusiba akukwate kubanga yalina ki? Yalina amakomera. Kati bw'otandika okusomesa abantu ki ekyokukola mu mbeera y'abantu nga banyiiza essaawa zino. Njagala kuwaako example. Ebbanga president yamalanga yeekukumye nga talina essolo ssafuluma ggwanga eryo. Abantu abamukuuma bonna era bakyasobola okukuuma abantu abalala bonna okukyusa eggwanga eryo mu ngeri esoboka. Era essaawa zino abantu bennyini bali wiringi okukola kye balina okukola. Naye bagamba tugenda kwesigaani era tugenda kukolagana naani. Kankuzizeeko emabega katono nnyo. Muno mu politics gwe batuzannya olwaleero. Museveni yakulaze nti asobola okuwamba obuyinza ng'akozesa emmundu naye nga wali akugambye nti ataddewo okulonda. N'amala ne yeerayiza n'aleeta mutabani we amukwase instruments of power okumubalaga nga amuadvertisinga. Amale ate amuleete amukakatike ku bantu ng'era ayita mu politics. Okukyusa ssemateeka, okozesa enamba z'alina mu parliament ne mu NRM aleete ekintu ekyakiteekewo. Naye nga mmwe mukimanyi tekisoboka era temukyagala, mugenda kyeŋŋanga mutya? Njala kubuuza, mugenda kyeŋŋanga mutya? Ogenda kyeŋŋanga otya? Why? No more politics toyina numbers. No more politics toyina numbers. Yes alina. Osobola kyeŋŋanga mu revolution n'okistopinga. Ompulira bulungi nnyo? Osobola kistopinga ng'oyise mu revolution so si mu normal politics. Kuba kye njagala okutegeeza mu normal politics. Ennamba esinga obungi y'Abannayuganda bali under captivity. They were captured. Politically, socially, economically. They were captured. Bonna Bannayuganda basinga obungi babakwata obwongo. Politically, socially, economically. Lwaki bakwata obwongo? Kankikunnyonnyola okitegeera. Nakikunnyonnyola mu video nakoze ku Tuesday. Wuliriza bulungi nnyo. Bw'abanga omukulembeze gwe balonze najja n'akugamba nti bamuwanguza buwanguza nga tafunye bululu. N'akwata Bibulia n'alayira nti I swear in the name of God, naye ng'ogolo teyafunye omuntu buli etakoziku. Kati omuntu omulowooza kubeera mu buwongo ki? Okutte Kuruhani entukuvu ogirayiza naye nga tewafunye bululu obwo. Omuntu oyo suula ogenda kudinga naani? Ogenda kudinga otya naye? Museveni olayidde ng'okutte Bayibuli nti you say in the name of God naye ng'okimanyi tewawangudde naye ng'okozesa Bayibuli. MP okimanyi nti obuyinza wabbye bubbe naye ng'osuyalinze. Kati omuntu akwata Bibulia oba Kuruhani entukuvu agirayize agende mu ofisi abantu gye bataamuwadde, ogenda kudiringa otya naye? Kyenkubuuza ekyo. Nkulekedde ekibuuzo ekyo nga sinagenda kukuwa information endala. Tudiringa n'omuntu ajja n'akwata Bayibuli n'alayira naye ng'obululu teyabufunye yabbye bubbe. Okuli bachairman LC3, bakansalazi, bachairman LC5, bakansalazi, ba mayor, ba MP ne Museveni kenyini ng'obuyinza yabbye bubbi naye ng'omuntu oyo alayira akimanyi nti yabbye bubbi. How are you going to deal with such a person ate nga basinga obungi mu Uganda? Ogenda kudiringa nabo otya ey'ensonga nnene nnyo. Era mu Uganda kati obubbi si musango, si mawulire. Gafuuka mawulire nga bakutte. Bwe bate bakutte obubbi si musango era si mawulire. Kubanga oli ajja kugaa nti oliwo yabbidde omuntu najja neerayiza ne MP nga talina ddira fomu naye nga yafuuse MP ng'afuna n'omusala gwa gavumenti. Ekintu kino ngezaako kibanyumya mu kitegeere. Tuyina kansa ali eggwanga ng'alirya okuva ku bakulembeze ab'ebyobufuzi, abakulembeze ab'amadiini, abakulembeze mu bitongole byonna nga ye kansa alimu. Ogenda kudiringa nabo otya? Kubanga nabo batuuka ekiseera ne bazanya politics. Ekintu kyonna nga bwe kiri mulina kijjawo under revolution. Revolution nagisomesa muno one by one nga mufaanaganya endowooza. Otherwise bw'otakikola politically bagenda tuzanya empiki mpaka nga tukooye. Kubanga bogo omuzannyo gwe basinga okumanya. Ate nga Museveni ye master waagwo. Kuva dda gwe muzannyo gwazanya gwa bubbi bufere kutta kulwayiza ye gwazanya. Kankusigira ekifaananyi olyoka otegeera. Mu nsi engonjufu era ensi eyagala okumanya. Teri kino njagala mukootinge bulungi nnyo. Mu nsi engonjufu era ensi eyagala okumanya. Kuba kuno manyi Nyande kwali, mutabani we Muhozi kwali ne family zaabwe kweziri. Ebigambo abanaeboogera ku social media nange kenyini nengattako ebyange. Ebigambo bya buvunaanyizibwa ate birina kye bizimba ku ggwanga newankubadde temwagala biwulira. Betya tosobola kuŋŋamba nti eggwanga eri abantu obukadde 49 nga mukazi wo first lady alina department namba mu government nga minister n'abula ku scene emyezi 2 n'ekitundu nga public temusobola giwulira muntu oyo waali kikyaliko nambeera mwali. Do you think we have leaders? Do you think we have leaders? Bwe batabasobola kuwulira muntu holding a public office almost nti Minister of Education almost half of the population nga yagitegerera yagiroleza era yagikulembera nenga half of the population temanyi muntu waali. Chikulaza ki? Chikuwa kifaananyi ki? Golaba olwazi omwana n'osaza mu program. Olaba olwazi omukazi n'osaza mu program. Oba n'oyita abeewaabwe. Oba n'otegeeza ku baneiba ti nno wange mukimulwadde. Ne Minister of Education and Sports almost atwala half of the population. N'abanga amaze emyezi 2 n'ekitundu talabikako. Abantu badimandinga wajali buli kimu wabula buli omu n'asirika. Kati gw'osuubidde nti omuntu oyo ayinza okubuulira ekyamazima era ategeeze eggwanga. Nkubuuza basobola okutegeeza ekigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga? Tebasobola, kubanga yonna ligimu eyimiridde ku bufere buyaayi. Ffenna bwe tutagenda kukola tetugenda kukola bufere na buyaayi. Eggwanga kasita munalireka mu ntata y'obufere n'obuyaayi mujja tuuka okubanga mukyejjusa nga temukyasobola kirivansinga, kubanga mujja kuba mukifudde ennomo nti someone can disappear ne mutaddamu kumanjaali. Yensonga lwaki n'abantu bafa mu Uganda tebasobola tuwa postmortem. Kandi ozotegere lwaki tebatuwa postmortem mu Uganda kubanga they fear to be exposed. They fear to be exposed. Why? Kubanga bakimanyi kino kanti kusomesa olwaleero. Ensonga lwaki baggayi bano batya okubika oba okutegeeza ekintu kyonna kiva mu gavumenti. Bamanyi kye bakoze public tesobola baagala lino olunaku n'olumu. Lwaki public tekwagala? Mwagiwa essuubi effu. Musuubi effu ate nga basuubira nti essuubi yandivudde mu gavumenti. Kati omuntu oyo gw'okozeko ebikolobero omusuubira kukola ki? Ne yandiyagadde okumanya kikigenda maaso mu ggwanga. Tokimugambye, tokimutegeezezza, wabula mumulage eggwanga tirigenda maaso, ng'ate eggwanga tirigenda maaso, eggwanga ffu. Kati muganda wange njala kutegeeza yensonga lwaki ebizibu bingi nnyo ku social media nga tebikwatagana na public. Eggwanga lyetaaga mu public order. Nabagambye eggwanga lyetaaga mu public order. Eggwanga ffu liri kale bwerebe kaakusaanawo ng'ekigenda ossaanyawo eggwanga eryo bulimba bufere buyaaye butemu. Tosobola kufugira ggwanga ku bintu ebyo eggwanga liriwangaalawo. Tosobola kufugira ggwanga ku principles ezo eggwanga liriyimirirawo. Bw'obanga gavumenti enaba efugira ku principles ezo kati wana abantu abali ku social media bafeera abantu ku buli lunaku tugenda bavunana tutya? Tugenda bavunana tutya? Ng'omuntu atwala almost half of the population tetumanyi gyali. Ng'ate abantu batyagadde okumanya omuntu oyo ali ludda kubanga holding office nene. Naye ate bavayo okubuuza okwemulugunya bw'osiba. Kitegeeza omusingi gwe twagala okulwanyisa tulwanyisa ekintu kinene nnyo kye tubadde tunategereza kyekiruwa. Muganda wange nakugambye twetaaga ogenda mu revolution okugyawo ebintu ebyo. Obulimba bukeera naye ate amazima bwe gazuukuka okutambula gasookayo. Naye nga tetuli mu Uganda ebikola mu nsi z'abazungu. Lwaki tebikola mu Uganda? Nabagamba ekigambo kye bayita organized criminals ne organized crimes. Emisango emiteeketeeke n'abagizanga bateeketeeke ebigenda mu maaso mu Uganda. Kati okulwanyisa ebintu ebyo byonna si kyangu ng'oyita mu politics. No mu politics, it is impossible. Era kye kyafectinze embeera z'abantu ba wansi, kye kyafectinze system yonna. Ne tukijja ne Uganda kigenda e Bulaaya. Osanga mu komite z'Abannayuganda era naye embeera ze ezimu tezikyukako ng'eziri e Uganda. Nosanga omuntu ku kyeyo ayina essabo, nosanga omuntu ku kyeyo ng'ayina irizi, nosanga omuntu ku kyeyo ng'empisa z'okuwalana naye azirina, aloopa banne mu migration, yakubira balandiroodi, yawala noono, yakola ki, ng'empisa ze ezimu ze zigenda okusigala nga zigenda mu komite kubanga ze komite ze twakuliramu. Ebintu bigaanye okukyuka biva waka. Kati baganda bange ebintu bino birina okukyuka ate kintu kinene nnyo. Kinene nnyo. Bannaddiini abalina okwogera ku bintu bino baalya ne basirika. Bannabyabufuzi abasinga obungi baasirika temanyi baasirika lwaki. They are under captivity. Olwayo kankusomesa ekigambo captivity mu Uganda okitegeere. Ekisookera ddala. Politically eggwanga liri under captivity. Litya. Politics baamugyawo indirect politics alimu mundu. Whoever comes out to talk about the real things under politics bagenda kusibwa okutta. Ompudde oyo politics. But traditional leaders bali under captivity bonna. They are not meant to speak against the government. They are not able to speak about the wrongdoings. Tugenze ku bannaddiini bamba kugambye bonna babazingako. Era eddiini zonna ziri infiltrated. Otuuka mbalokole nga 90% abalokole bonna basinga obungi bakozi ba gavumenti bambega. Madiini amala bo bakwata bakulu waggulu ku ttupu basingako tebasobola kwogera politics wadde okwogera ku nsonga. bwe tugenda mu government yonna weeri bonna abakozi they are under captivity. Amagye gali under captivity, police eri under captivity, prison eri under captivity. Naye bw'osangamu abantu ba individuals they even fear to speak. Wamutuukira okubanga mwogerera mu bwama mu nsi eri mu bajjajja mu gibalwa kitegeeza ekintu kisusse okw'omulamuzi. Bwe batandika okuga temusobola kwogera mutandise okutya. Wabadde takimanya ali mu diaspora Uganda okwogera kati abantu boogerera mu codes, abantu batana okugamba ekigajjaga temukusimba mpulira bajja wano bambega eyo embeera kasito gituusa mu bannansi buli omu nga yeekengera munne eggwanga liba terikyakola liba lyafa. Osanga eggwanga ne bamuwasereza oluguudo n'azirya nobody cares, ne bamuweeza eddwaliro n'azirya nobody cares, ne bamuweeza okuzimba amasomero n'azirya nobody cares, kubanga agenda okwogera bagenda kugamba oyogera ngaani kasita tutuuka oyogera ngaani baba kugyeko obunnansi bona obuvunaanyizibwa bwo. Tubadde generation y'abakitaffe baddewo esebengerera eggwawo, generation yaffe eriwo bwe tugireka negera mu direction y'emu abaana bamu bagenda kubeera mu nsi ki mu generation bagenda kubeera mu nsi ki. Nkubuuza generation y'abakitaffe esebengerera eggwayo ebulirayo, generation yaffe egenda sigala mu system naye abaana bano bemuzadde betuzadde bagenda kubeera mu system ki? Ekyo kikulekedde bagenda kubeera mu system ki? System ki bagenda okukuliramu? Era basuubira eggwanga lye bagenda okuzimba ggwanga ki? G'oli eyo oli mu kusinika binnyo tomanyi system bagizimba, kati system mwagirabye era mugyetegereza ne mugitaddemu ango ya politics temunagirolezaako mu revolution. Lwaki? Gwavuma Kyagulanyi nga sawudde mu ggwanga kijova Katonda gwensinza gwe simanyi bwafaanana oba mukazi oba musajja oba mweru oba muddugavu, ojja tuuka akaseera mu mutima gwo otandika ogukuba wejjuse nti singa namanya nti omusajja ono yali mutuufu, ng'obudde bukuzibyeko nga bye yakugamba byonna bakusibiddeyo mu system eyo. Ojja tuuka ekiseera ng'omwana w'enkyukakyuka video ezabadde akola ku social media nga mubavuma mubawemula nga buli mwana ekigambo kyeyayogera kikusibiddeko kikulaba okituuseeko kikuliko nga wejjusa abaana abo lwaki tewabajoyininga. Ojja tuuka okunoonya video z'ono ayogera essaawa zino nga bye yali ayogera byonna wayina obudde obusobola okweyimba mu kintu ekimu n'okijjawo oba n'okirongoosa ne kivaawo, wabula weesube gwa naggamba okwegatta ku bantu abaagala okusaanyawo eggwanga tomanyi bagenda ddisanyawo batya. Baakatukalakata emyaka aga 40 si bwe kiri nti ye aseetinga mwana we naye mbw ajja akwatemu. Omanyi omwana emyaka gyagenda okukalakata bw'abanga abaana bono gwe baseetinga already abamu bali mu magye. Mona kiro bagizimba njala kuzikira ekifa olwe bazimba nga gw'otudde bakuwa ssente we mule Kyagulanyi, bakuwa ssente we mule Lumbuye, bakuwa ssente we mule abaana b'enkyukakyuka bali ku social media, naye nga gwakaanako koozadde akali akalone Ferinda oba akali ku muwogo eyo ango waagikatunuzzaamu gwe kennyini waagitunuddemu. Nkugamba we are under captivity kati kankola gye structure bwetambula. Politically basobola ogikubisa but mu revolution tebasobola, kubanga revolution teriko kuteesa, teriko dynamics, teriko ango yo yakuyoola buyoozi. Nkugambye atukalakasa emyaka 40 aleeta embaata eyanet agiseetinga otunula era embaata bwe tutalwana nnyo embaata esobola okujja netula mu ntebe eyo, naye embaata erinayo mu darklings obuto already baba balaga mfana buli majje nabo butandika okulooza nti ene mbata kabuzi na yetu nde katife tudda kukubana yachi batekako olwa kusetinga monarchy ngeri ya South Korea naye oli kuvuma Kyagulanyi ovuma Lumbuye ovuma abana bali ku social media bogere ensonga zino nenga kigenda tuka nga system yennyini je tubagambe sawa zino baje ku setting zengo olaba wabula badde ovuma Kyagulanyi obadde ovuma Lumbuye obadde ovuma Nuwa Mutwe obadde ovuma Aputopu obadde ovuma William obadde ovuma Katongole Julius obadde ovuma Sibonango bavuma nenga kyo bavumira kubanga butamanya nabo tasooka kwetegereza njara kubuza goza South Korea yatandika bwetyo South Korea yatandika nga bweri bajja bazimbe ekintu mpola ne bakimanyiza abantu era walinga abantu abalinga mu nsi zaabwe enkwe ne baliko ekintu ne kikula ne kituuka ne kibakwatirayo naffe ekintu bakizimba tulaba beyambisa ssente zaffe z'omumusolo beyambisa bannansi okuzimba ekintu bakizimbe kituukewo omwana wo ogenda muteeka ludda mu sisitimu eyo Gobadde okimanyi nti parliament erayidde ejjono lwaleero erimu first family erimu bambi ba parliament abasukka 1,500 nga bonna ba first family kino kyama okimanyi parliament erayidde eteeka okubanga eweza kale 1,500 taddeyo bangi erimu abantu abali related ku first family abawera 1,000 nkubuuza gwe nakanjako nkubuuza gwe Kadaama nkubuuza Sekadaama omanyi parliament erayidde erimu abantu ba first abali related ku first family ng'omusayi gwe gumu abawera 1,000 ekikumwata nabadde kututte wala nkwadde lawundi figure abantu 10 ba MP ngeba mujjako omusabe kiriyo bagenda okugussa mu ndaga butafaali nga at least ayinza okuba inako 25 ku 50%. Ekyo badde okimanyi bakizimba bakitwala oddawa goloza lwaki zonna authorities ebitongole bayita authority mu Uganda birimu bantu ba family emu ozachi bamanirira bonna ba family emu amaje kati bonna ba commander tabasingo bonna ba family emu police bonna kati ba top combat ba RPC ba DPC bonna basingo obungi bonna baba mu region emu kati goba kibakusiba akatambala gemanya basoga manya baganda manya bateso manya batolo manya banyankole manya bakiga manya kibakusiba gwe tukimanyi kibasiba n'abaganda manya nga tukimanyi nefa bakimanyi tukimanyi ne tukikugamba tukiteeka mbongo tosobola kitegeera naye oli awo otudde okwata essimu ovuma Kyagulanyi naye nga batakuwadde ssente amazima okola ki ogamanya era ogogera noli akuwa ssente azikuwa kubanga akimanya alina byagala obikkirire lwaki abikkirire ekitufu ekirina okukolebwa n'akuwa ssente okibikkeko nsooka kubuuza gwe avuma Kyagulanyi naawe avuma Lumbuye amulengezza nkubuuza lwaki bakuwa ssente olengezze Kyagulanyi naye nga kibamukuwako ssente okirengezzeeko Kyagulanyi kyogera kituufu lwaki tebaagala kuimplementinga Kyagulanyi kyayogedde ekituufu abantu kyayogedde ekituufu nkubuuza nsiraamu gogenda kulya omwana agenda kulya luddawa in the next coming months years omwana agenda kulya luddawa omwana wa agenda kusomerawa will you still continue to get a passport for your children and let that country to go out in which country ensi ziri mu kugoba bagwira baveeyo badde waabwe olemi okulwana eggwanga lyo wabula gw'olyawo bakuloleza bulowoleza muganda wange mujja tuuka okunoonya Kyagulanyi nga temumulaba mujja kutuuka okunoonya abaana ababadde boogera ku mitimbagano nga temukyabalaba nga nabo gye baalaga temumanyiyo mujja tuuka okunoonya Lumbuye nga temumulaba nga mugaya ayogera nnyo yes njogera nnyo kyenjogera nkimanyi kubanga kyenjogera abasinga obungi temukimanyi niye ate sibaninya kubanga si musango gwammwe lwaki si musango gwammwe abalina okutwala obuvunaanyizibwa okukola ensonga ezo baaze balama be baani ssemateeka yennyini eyalina okubalambika Museveni yamukwata n'amusiba mu bigere n'amuteeka wamwagala era olina oteewuunya era mbagambe nti tuli under captivity naye abasinga okubeera mufuge bali mu NRM abasinga okubeera mufuge be bali mu NRM mu magye mulimu abali mu bufuge nga tebasobola kwenyeenya mu police mu prison ba minister bali mu captivity oyo bamutira first born n'asirika ne bamutira omukazi n'asirika ne bamutwalako ebibagagga byonna n'asirika abagagga bonna mu Uganda abaali abagagga baabasiraanya buli omu n'agenda silent buli omu n'asirika lwaki kubanga system yalina okuteekebwa okwogera ku bintu ebikyamu batandise ogidisimantlinga bantu mmwe mwerabira nnyo naye mwandibadde mutandika okulabira ku byokulabirako ebibaddewo muganda ffe mukama amuwummuze mirembe kirobera mwoyo gwa ggwanga yabeeranga mu poliisi n'agoba ababbi naye nga ababbi baagoba bakolagana inspector general of police kale kyezikayula ababbi bago bakolagana ba DPC bwalabanga musobedde nayagala ategeeze mukama we Museveni kumba ate Museveni yawa instructions Kayihura okukola ebintu ebyo musajja tuyakomekereza abifiiriddemu kubanga teyamanya system ekola ki system etambula nti yali under captivity bannaddiini abafudde mu Uganda abaali boogera ensonga at one time baasidelingako ne Museveni ng'abalala ne baasidelingako ne Museveni but they didn't understand Museveni. Who is Museveni? The moment Museveni system gyakosa muli gisoma ne mugitegeera mugenda kujja Museveni mu ntebe nga teesikidde Rwande lwaki one Museveni yamanya ekintu kino wammanga yamanya bannayuganda bali so soft ekyo nakinotinga wansi. Secondly, yamanya bannayuganda they can't come out to speak on their own balina boogerera n'asooka n'azinga kabalina okuboogerera bonna n'abalyawo over ate nga abalyawo at one time basideliningako naye bayogerako kone nga bali bakiyita balyanga mu kimu ne bamala ne bazuuka nti omusajja atutta bagenda okitegeera nga obudde bugenzi n'abalyawo over eyo seku ebyasa nebiyisa mpaka olwaleero abo batandika okitegeera nti ekintu kye balimu kyali kikyamu naye ng'obudde bugenze. Kyekimu ekigenda okwapeninga wiiki ejja mugiteekeko ennyo amaaso. Tewali munnayuganda afudde from 1986 nga yeefiiridde Museveni abadde abajjawo papasire kubanga nga yategeera Museveni amala kusoma. Bw'amala okusoma n'ategeera amaanyi go obusobozi bwo naki ky'osobola okukola n'asooka akuyita. Bw'akuyita akuwa omulimu either ogukkiriza oba ogugaana. Kizibu nnyo abantu bonna okugaana omulimu gwa Museveni olw'ensonga nga bakimanyi nti the moment you say no era agenda kutta. You rather work with him until wakugoba. Okumanya Museveni musajja mubi nnyo alinga enjaliruma ekiro. Akuwa omulimu n'agukupeeka lwakiri ogufiireko. Bw'alabanga weesolosozza nnyo baakusudda alina bayagala okuleeta mu kifo kyo asooka n'akuwummuzamu naye ng'asigala akuwa ssente. bwamala ngalabo notira okufuuka virus nakuza tis nakuteeka ku payroll wa advisor oba kuba commissioner nakuteeka awakumuntalingira kuba tayagala aveewo akimanyi nti yawukana ku mugendo yeefuuka kaasa oyo abadde Museveni ebbanga lyonna. Batasobodde kudiringa nabo goba document yo bana Uganda bangi abadduka bali mawanga ga Bulaaya ne mu America ne Canada abasirika obusisi they went silent ne bukiba kimanyi eyo bana dini abafuluma eggwanga ne bagenda ne bawanganguka ng'ekyabo wangangusa basoma system bagiteegera baga enejja tule ne bavone bagenda n'abayimbi ba celebrities abadduse mu Uganda tebadduse mu kubanga badduse mbali balemeddwa no bam studying a system ne bagiteegedde system egenda tule ne badduka era system yemu yeri mu kulya abantu nga tebasobodde jobu zaabwe nga nagitegeera wiikyejja system egenda kuddamu okwemeketa wiikyejja system egenda kuddamu okwemeketa naye nga bwe yeemeketa ani afunamu this time around nga tulimu extra time mu kitundu ekisembayo mu ddakiika 3 zongeramu system eyinza okwemeketa ne kuba yingini ekyo nkikubuulidde system eyinza okwemeketa nekuba yingini nze ekyo kikubulidde by next week okuva ku Monday up to Friday oba Monday nga tuyingira abiri abimu muyinza okulabako system nga yeemekese ekubye ebberingi zonna eziye mugirinde very 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 soon. Bwomaze okitegeera ngera kugamba bino biwuli bulungi nnyo. Abantu bonna abafudde mu ggwanga nga bali prominent system yebasse n'abayambako city mu batta webali abagenda eliminating omu ku omu balonda bulonzi omu ku omu. Ne waliwo kino kankyogere nkisi waliwo omukazi eyeetaba mu kutta omugenzi John Garanga ka video kano bagenda kakusalira musigenda kwogera amannya go ssaawa zino. Waliwo omukazi eyeetaba mu kutta John Garanga mu nnyonyi eyo eyeetaba mu lukwolo Museveni akimanyi nti okimanyi yakkozesa akimanyi nti omuyinako obujulizi era akimanyi nti amaanyi ogalina naye muganda wange kyensoso bagamba nti bamuledde fayiro ze zonna azisome ez'emisango akimanyi nti omuyinako information wandikomekereza nga abalala. Wali otuddeko ne weebuuza system eno lwaki abaji operatinga by indigenous naye nga abaji benefitinga mu si by indigenous. Wali otuddeko nekyebuuza lwaki abakolera system eno egende maaso by indigenous ate abaji benefitinga mu si by indigenous era toyinza ssanga yenna agi benefitinga mu ng'ali mu lutalo lwonna obanga alina ekintu kyonna kyakoze. Lwaki bakikozesa by indigenous? Kubanga temwasooka kusoma the 250 master program bakugamba ffe tulina okusigala nga tuli clean nga tukozesa by indigenous abaliwo okukola donke waaka to clean ffe tufuuke ba kingi bali mu kikola. Bajja kukozesa nabbanja ng'osinika ebinnyo nabbanja bugenda kera kumakya nga toli prime minister bakuguleko emisango bujja kera enkya nga nitaamongi tokyali speaker bakuguleko emisango ate okwagala okujja balete kale kizikayihula bujja kera kumakya mu wiiki ejja bakugambe tebakomezaawo super minister baba mbabazi akomewo super minister mbabazi na network etta abantu wawudova akomewo ng'ekigenda omuleeta kumaliriza ate bano abadde bakolera ono. Bugenda kukyenkya wano Katumba Wamala nga bakujja mu budde Nenga system operating ojiraba gojo operating. Nenga system yenyini yali omwana wo. Katumba Emmanuel Wamara. System yameke to omwana wo. System ekusika olugoyo ekutwala enetero kumira na ye kumira nga gojo operating lwachi bo mo system yawe tebagifiramu bagagawalira mu gaggawalire. Mwene mutunulanga abalugwala basaana wo nobody cares. Ne mutulanga abantu mu West Nile bago nobody cares. Ne mutulanga bakalamoja bago but nobody cares. Ne mutulanga busoga yone esaana wo economically, politically, socially nobody cares. Ne mutulanga Buganda bwali na amaanyi osaana wo. Babataddewo deception eyakasajja akanyarwanda kanisa bazanye deception mwena basajja bakulu bali bategeera mulabanga kasajja kakatuno kumba kasajja kamafia kafiri. Nobody can come out to defend, to diffuse, to outline the mission of these people. Bakuzanya deception nenchi kugamba tusula kitegeera. Tusula kitegeera. Ekiremeza Moses ali n'okutukola mulete nga siba kuba nti Moses ali basula kwesimba ko Moses ali alina okufiira awo completely balina muttira awo bamupiika ebyobufuzi abifiire mu fees nga tavaalo batayogera nenga wali waki Museveni ati Moses ali wamuze ebbali ayinza okuddamu n'afuna mayindi ni kati emyaka ni alina kufiira awo. Kati muganda wange yonna wooli nyongera okutegeeza togeza nodda mu nkusaba kola ebirala byonna buno bakanjala busaba na Uganda mwenna. I'm addressing Ugandans right now, the indigenous. I'm not addressing foreigners or aliens. With the due respect, please. Uganda is our country. And we deserve to leave that country. There is no how we are going to liberate our country when we are used by the Museveni's aliens. There is no way how we are going to liberate that country when we are divided. Because what Museveni knows, the system is called divide and rule. Ask yourself, why does he Museveni comes to you and start teaching you about fighting each other when you know that the country belongs to you? That the Baganda shouldn't work with the Banyankore. The Banyankore shouldn't work with the Batoro. Batoro shouldn't work with the Basoga. Basoga shouldn't work people from West Nile and from East. Why? You should study at this particular moment and you will get united. Because if we don't wake up right now, we are going to be finished by the system. Which system is managed and controlled by the Aryans. Those are foreigners. And foreigners. More especially the Museveni's family, who came from Rwanda. So I call upon all Ugandans wherever you are. If you are in prison, you are in police, you are in army, you are in politics, please sit back and start study that system. Because at the end of the day, the system is going to kill you without noticing. And you have been observing the missing people. There were people being missing, there were people being assassinated in Uganda without proper information and how and where they have been killed. But it's the same system which you operate in right now, and the same system which you support, because they give you money. But after giving you money, what is next? For them, they know the mission of taking over the country. You are good at eating money. They know that they have money. They're going to pay you to eat that money. The end of the day, they're going to occupy the country. Which country is rich in minerals? If you start to do what we call finance forensics in Uganda, particularly in Kampala, you might end up getting nobody indigenous owning properties and money in Kampala. That's the fact. Botandika okukola kye tuyita financial forensics. Okunoonyereza baani abali mu Kampala, baani bannannyini bizimbe, baani bannannyini mataka, baani bannannyini business. Ojja genda okusanga ba indigenous tebawera wadde 2%. Nga baani bannannyini bizimbe. They are all aliens, the foreigners. Bonna ba indigenous abalina business bazivuddemu. Baziruzinze. Properties bazitutte. Abana bafudde. Ne bakolera amateeka. Notasobola gabuusa, nosobola kuwuza amateeka gano bagaleeta papasire ku ki? Era gakutwala luddawa. Nkubanga bo bakuvuga bakutwala mu kintu kya kudestroyinga. Tebakutwala ku kintu kya kuzimba, bakutwala ku kintu kya kudestroyinga. Nti yonna tugifiire tugisaanyeewo. Boki bakuvugamu kye bakutwalamu. Kankubuuze. Kino ngenda kibuuza gwali eyo. Before Museveni, economy ya Uganda yali almost managing by indigenous. 70% managing by indigenous. After Museveni comes in power in 1986, the economy was handed over to Museveni's family and the foreigners by indigenous never jam. We had local manufacturers, they were nowhere to be seen. Local manufacturers, they are nowhere to be seen. We had local businessmen and businesswomen, they are nowhere to be seen. We have potential politicians, they are nowhere to be seen. We had the potential religious leaders, they are nowhere to be seen. We had the potential police, army, prison serving officer who used to come to speak on behalf of Ugandans. They were nowhere to be seen. Who are there to speak for Ugandans? Who are there to protect our country? The people who are in office right now, they are foreigners. Because they know how to speak Chiganda, they know how to speak Kinyankore. You think that these are not Ugandans, they are there on mission. During the day they speak, they speak the language you understand. At night they speak, they speak Kinyarwanda. Nakyo tokimanyi. Nakyo tokimanyi. Nakyo tokimanyi. Tebakomye okwo. Bakulumbira giwaddukira mu diaspora. Bataddeyo system etambula. Muli mu community mu ggwanga lyerimu kankikunyo, muli mu community mu ggwanga lyerimu. Mwenna kino mukinyonyola ku bulungi, muli mu ggwanga lyerimu mu community yemu. Naye ogenda okulanga aliwo abantu abali exceptional in financial terms. Naye nga bw'otunuulira income ne expenditure n'ebbanga lyamazeewo byalina tebikwatagana income lwaki. These are the agents of extending system gye batuukeko gye muli nga tokimanyi naturally. Abali mu America ina statement gye nkoze mugitegedde. Abali e Canada statement gye nkoze mugimanyi. Abali e Bungereza as well ne mu Europe. N'abali Middle East system erumbye mu diaspora. Erumbye lwaki. Abantu muri mu section muri mu kitundu kyekimu emirimu gye bakola mugimanyi, but balina more than what you earn, not because mwe temukola. No, balina kubanga beba extendingirako system ene gye Bulaaya nga temukimanyi. Oba tokiteeka nga mbongo kirowoozaako. Oba tokiteeka nga mbongo kirowoozaamu. System etuuse nti omuntu mu America bagati mwana gundi yafudde mga ataalwadde. Baga gundi bamusanze mu nyumba afudde ataalwadde. System yatuuka dda. Yakutuukako nga tomanyi yayiteetya mwaba abantu. system eyinza okutambulirako nga bategedde nti gwe kasigadde mu famire y'omuntu yaleka ettaka mayiro nambe yettaka Uganda oli mu America okajjadde system bagenda giruka mpaka lwe nakutuukako ekujjewo ettaka Museveni abe ng'alirina system egenda kunoonya mpaka Canada kuba gwe ategera mu famire ey'ebintu byakitamu byaleka mu Kampala mukono wa Kiso system ejjenga etambula bweti ekutuukeko ekulyewo bwe mala okulyawo bano batekinge over kubanga nakyo tukimanyi gwoyagala kuŋŋamba constitution ya Uganda amateeka agafuga abafu n'ebintu byabwe tegakimanyi nti omusika asikira musaayi waki current regime eriko omusika alina powers okusinga abanne bonna ng'ate tateekeddwa kuba nazo bagenda nga basoma family by family ez'Abaganda ez'Abanjula ez'Abatula balina properties ne batandika okulondola buli mwana yenna ali mu family n'ali mu America ali Canada ali ne batandika okubatambulira ku system ne banoonya naye muli omukalula maaso ne musobola kisoma nti kitambula olaba minisita kugwera mu America kugwera Canada kugwera mu Bungereza tebava mu nyumba tebava mu kuku nosanga minisita musamba komite abana Uganda ono yakimye yoki abaze ku saaki olunaku lwe bulimanya system ya Museveni lwekola mujja ku survivinga Museveni akimanyi nti abantu abadduka myaka gy'ekina n'abannanyiniisi bali Bulaaya balina ebyapa badduka nabyo oba bikweka Uganda nga they want to decide for that land for those properties nenga Museveni azaagala nga temukimanyi lwaki lyakozesa omusika to destroy the entire family kubanga bawadde time mubawadde access ku buli kimu mu mbeera eno eya revolution gye basomesa olwaleero you have to limit yourself abantu okufuna access ku gwe ku ndowooza yo ku bintu byo na buli kimu n'abantu bo kansooke nkubuuza golowooza Museveni ttiimu zaabwe zonna baamanya batya abagagga bonna bali mu Uganda kati nga they are no more baamanya batya baamanya batya muwadde nnyo abasajja bano eddembe era ekigenda okusaanyawo eggwanga Uganda ffenna tusaanyaawo eddembe limuwadde abasajja bano n'atalina kuweebwa ddembe n'omuwa eddembe ate ekyewuunyisa bakozesa mmwe bennyini system ekozesa mmwe ate okudistroyinga ekibadde kigenda okuzimba eggwanga tokiriyamba okulitereera bakozesa mmwe emirundi emeka gy'owulira nga Abanyarwanda beerwana emirundi emeka gy'owulira nga Abanyarwanda beerwana tugenda mu ddakiika 25 ezisembayo emirundi emeka gy'owulira nga Abanyarwanda beerwana balina ebibaawula bitini nnyo wabula balina ebibagatta bingi nnyo njala okubuuza comrade yali ono munda Uganda from northern Uganda west Nile east south Buganda njala kubuuza bwe baba nga abantu abajja okutwala ensi yaffe balina just a small fraction of differences but what unite them is bigger than what we know they united purposely neffe n'ebintu ebitali mutu eyawulamu oli akusinza akabina ekigenda kunyiiza oli akusinza okubeera ng'osimanyi na 6 pack kigenda kunyiiza munyiigira ne batalina kunyiigira bano abantu balina ebintu ebibagatta bingi nnyo okusinga ffe nosanga akutte essimu avuma Kyagulanyi munna Uganda mwana nakabala nebo mbuuzo waayo fakina ekya tasobola kunywa nadi ze bansasudde muvume hopeless nagamba open bansasudde muvume so paying someone to abuse Robert Kyagulanyi Sentamu imagine indigenous they are paid to destroy Robert Kyagulanyi Sentamu and who pays a foreigner pays indigenous to destroy a fellow indigenous nengo oli awo tudde ku live ogiriko sinika obunye system ebalia lwaki akuwadde sente gye namuvuma bakuwadde sente gy'ovume Lumbuye omudegrading or diffusing information ani akuwadde sente lwaki tasobola kujja kukwata simu na diffusing oba na degrading Lumbuye lwaki you are used to destroy our country because they have money at their disposal. Sente bazijja mu system yo gw'osasula omusolo. Gw'osasula omusolo naye tokimanyi. Basasudde nze muvu akuwadde sente lwaki tajja namuvuma era azikuwadde yani oli akuwadde sente ogenda otutera Lumbuye naye azikuwadde wakitajja najja natera Lumbuye bakusindisa ogere mu Amerika okunoonyereza Kyagulanyi akusindise lwaki si yajja namunoonyereza basindika era ggwe kuba temusobola kulowooza. Era Biblia ntuga nti abasirisiru abagwagwa batoletole abalya ne balya n'ensigo ezandisigiddwa mu sizoni eddako yembeera egenda mu bannayuganda kati sawa zino bye tukola biyamba ggwe tebiyamba nze biyamba ggwe kubanga tomanyi ate atamanyi abeera muyizi mumuyigirize ate obutamanya kirwadde kibi yensonga lwaki omuzungu agamba nti protection is better than cure okugema kusinga okuwonya. Lwaki okugema kusinga okuwonya? Kubanga bwengema ekintu kiba kitigenda tusibwako bule bw'amaanyi ne bwe sikigema ekitusibwako kijja kuba kyononeka mangu. Kati ffe kitukola bakiyita prevention is better than cure. Ani yabaloga? Olwofunye omubiri n'akamotoka ovuga ng'oli mugagga. No, obugagga si kayumba si kamotoka, no. Ekyo si kibayita obugagga. Nkiddamu, obugagga si kamotoka oba kayumba ke bakuwadde obugagga luli mu Kampala, no si bugagga nedda. Tebakulya ssente, obugagga mpisa. Obugagga mpisa oba kibayita discipline. Bw'oba tolina discipline toli mugagga. Lwaki? Kubanga osobola okubeera ne ssente nga tolina discipline ezikuuma zigenda kuggwako. Osobola okuba nga olina emikisa naye nga tolina discipline bagenda kukubanga mu bufumbo n'emiriba gikugobemu. Oyinza okuba nga wasoma naye nga tolina discipline togenda kufuna mirimu kubanga olina empisa embi. It's all about discipline. Gojja funa akayumba okazimba ebikiyi kimu ebirumu bbiri olwena akamotoka genti ensobo gikuyo togimazeeyo. Weetaaga ate discipline egenda okulaga nti nokola ssente ezigenda okuyimirizawo akayumba n'emmotoka. Kubanga buli ala bwekuba ebyo ogenda okutunda oddeyo ku zero. Kati discipline eri ekulaga nti wenzimba akayumba n'engula n'akamotoka ate n'otuteekawo kireeta ssente ezigenda okumaintaininga bino bye nateekawo nyongereko n'ebirala. Neggo bw'ofuna akamotoka ndi ozimbe kati kyekirwadde ky'Abannayuganda abasinga obungi. They think they are rich. They think they know. They think they have money. Temulina sente. Mwenna muli baavu. Lwaki muli baavu? Kasitoba nga tolina mpisa obeera mwavu. Ekyo mukitegedde bulungi nnyo. Kati bw'oba okitegedde kanfundikira na kino tunyuke. buli muntu wetegereze genda maaso ku mainstream media ne ku social media ku political turbulence ziri mu Uganda ojja kumanya amazima na kye kibaddewo ekyo kikutegedde bw'obunaazibira wiiki ejja ng'efundikira mujja tegera ekituufu kye kiri naye sofa kyentegeddeko mugenda kulira ku miranga n'abagenda okusibwa era system egenda kwegaaya naye kakiro kankifundikire okitegere bulungi nnyo. 1 buno bakanyala bugenda eri bannayuganda mwonna naddala abazadde abalina abaana namwe abantu abakulu bali kuno njala mumpulirize bulungi nnyo. Njagala otuleko awo olowooze bulungi nnyo gy'ovudde wooli ne woosuubira okulaga. Tulanga nnyo olowooze ebigambo ebyo. Gy'ovudde wooli ne woogenda okugenda. Tulanga nnyo olowooze ekintu ekyo. Abantu abasinga obungi buli mwagamba nina sad story. Lwaki buli mwagamba nina sad story? Kubanga buli mwalina gy'avudde okutuuka waali. Ne bw'otulanga awo n'ojjukira gye wava ne wooli n'ekyosuubira okukola. Ennyinga ez'essatu oba steps ez'essatu nkulu nnyo mu bulamu obwo. Kati mu nnyinga ez'essatu mwe njagala ononderemu ennyinga emu yeeruwa wa wendaga. Wa olaga nga weetegereza ki weewano wano wammanga. Nazzi kuno okubika ababisi baabatumanga ne badduka emisinde okugenda batambuliranga wiiki. Obudde bwagendanga bukyuka obulunguta omagulu abiri ne bujja leediyo ne zijja kati bitambulira ku masimu. Eri ebyafa mu mbeera eyo ne byakyukawo. Nazzi kuno abantu abasinga obungi beetandikiranga emirimu. Oba yasoma oba teyasoma yeetandikiranga omulimu era yeebeezangawo. Bwe twogerera essaawa zino buli azaala omwana n'abutuza ayagala musomesera omwana oyo asoma afuna eddiguli naye omubuuza diguli gy'afuna omwana oyo agenda kujjawo omulimu. Eyo mentality omuzungu yagituteekamu ne tulema ogirowoozaako. Tutya muzadde munnange naye munnayuganda ali eyo tulina okukyusa mu ndowooza yaffe yeeruwa. Ekyo kino kyogera nnyo webira ku social media nekyo kyabalimi okuteeka mitwe gyammwe. Kiwulirize bulungi nnyo. Omuzungu yatulekera education system enfu y'obufuzi bw'amatwale tekyukako. Jjajjawo yasoma find x gipirandira bongo which growing in Canada. Nkubuuza mu byewasoma by'okola era omwana wo gw'osasula school fees ne byasoma era byagenda okukola tokirowoozangako era tokisangako mutwe. Gwokimanyi nti abazungu okuleta education system basooka mu technical schools basooka oteekawo. That's why buli muzungu ali specialized mu ange yiye mu Uganda technical schools zagibwawo. Lwaki zagibwawo technically? Lwaki batu imposingeko education system enfu etali profitable. Lwaki enfu? Gwomanyi nti ekiseera kyatuuka nga mu Uganda technical schools nga abazungu baga nti technical omwana abatakwasa bya musomero mutwale mu tteeko. Ekigambo tteeko bakiganda waza kyali technical schools wa technical institutions. Kati abaganda ne bakiteeka mu tteeko. Ngera abaana bali mu secondary basoma nti muzadde omwana abalimi okutegeera ebyokusoma mutwale mu tteeko. Kati ne bakiganda wazanga kisawulinganganya ekintu ekyobusiru nti omuntu asemba atalina magezi bamutwala mu tteeko. Kumbe tuwoze technical schools okusomesa skills. Omuntu asomye skills abeera ne advantage esobola okuteeka atandika omulimu ku kyaba asomye. Njagala oleeta omuntu alina skills nga teyagenda kusoma diguli ba diploma nga asobola okwetandikira omulimu. Oleete n'owa diguli agiina nga tasobola kwetandikira omulimu. Enjawulo eriwo. Oba nfunye. Buli mwaka Uganda buli mwaka bwe wetoola batikkira ekitono nnyo miliyoni 2 ez'abayizi abalina degree diploma certificate bakolawa. Buli mwaka batikkira miliyoni 2 ez'abayizi bw'ogatta institutions zonna miliyoni 2 bakolawa. Nursery zijjuzza obwana obusoma. Primary zijjuzza abaana abasoma. Secondary azolo zijjuzza abaana abasoma. Tertiary institutions zijjuzza abaana abasoma. University zijjuzza. We are going to get jobs nowhere but because omuzungu yakulekerawo system ekukwata obwongo nga tosobola kukulowooza. Nkuddamu education system ya Uganda erina okukyuka. edde ku nkole yaliwo enkadde wakuba nti baagi bakubisa noga nti omwana alemedde byo mu ssomero byomutwale mu tteeko kati muzadde nga kigambo tteeko nga kijivuna nnyo nga kireka kyabasiru nnyo no si kyabasiru bakigandawaza Buganda zo kifuula ekyabasiru nti tteeko kyali technical institutions oba technical schools nga basomera skills abasoma ebyobulimi ebyokubajja ebyokulunda ebyokuzimba ebyokukola enguudo ebyokukola buli kimu nga kiri eyo ngo specializing mu kintu kyosobola wabula ffe omuzungu n'atulemezaako ekintu ekyo nakati ffenna buli omu ndajja na school fees nsomesa mwana naye bw'osomesa agenda kukola waku mbeera eri mu Uganda essaawa zino ne mu mbeera eri mu nsi yonna omwana we agenda kukolako era gwe ogenda kuzzaako ki wasoma taata mwasoma nga abaana mu kirasi nga mulimu abaana basaza mathematics biology chemistry nga bazibu nnyo where are they gwe yamanya nti olina okwekolera otandika okukola you are well off bameka okyasobola okunoonya obyo yasazanga mathematics chemistry physics biology okyasobola omusanga oyiza omusanga okyasobola obasanga wantu wonna okyasobola okugaa nti ono omwana asoma naye yali mugezi nnyo where are they nowhere to be seen bebandibadde mu politics wa Uganda nowhere to be seen kubanga bafuna reflection kigenda okubatwala mu maaso awokawuka bamaliza kivuddemu teri muntu alina skills nga yayita mu technical school asobola kulemwansi tasobola asobola okwetandikirawo omulimu wabula omuntu alina diguli tasobola kutandika omulimu ekisookera ddalaga nasoma ayagala ntebe kumwetoleramu tayagala mulagira naye ng'omulimu gwe bamulagirako gwaga tayagala munasigwa jjajjaawe enkya bakugoba kati muganda wange omuzadde ali eyo lowoozaamu emirundi ebiri ng'okola ebintu ebyo si gwe azadde wekka population ejjatuuka nga okusoma tekukyalina makulu era wano bwenkubuuza bakugamba nti education is the key to success. Which success? Education is the key to success. Which success? The main goal and the main target is to get money. How do you get money? By getting involved in different activities. Is it physical? Niba tebagala kigabale so system enfu bagikuleke dawo mu spending esente temwagala kutegeeza abaana bammwe kikituufu mutandika okwetegereza abaana bammwe kiki basobola abaana bo bakwateko ng'obudde bukyali basobole okumanya kiki bagenda okuzzaako naye kino kyonna tugenda kikola tutya nga tumaze okugjako system eriko kubanga system eriko eya Museveni yo target yaabo imwe yakubateeka mu masomero musome wabula nga bagenda okuleeta omwana abadde alunda ente eri ayingire mu poliisi ng'omwana abadde alina okuyina poliisi nga ne qualification tagenda giyingira bo baleese waabwe kubanga bali mu buyinza baleete omuntu agenda mu minisita okukolamu nga talina de senior 6 naye nga waliwo bamuyingizza era ayigira ku mulimu owo wagenda okuaployinga obaga nti olina experience naye nga amubuuza ye kennyini talina de senior 6 certificate gwe bakulese osomesa omwana wo naye nga tasobola kufuna mulimu ggwanga ebintu bino omina obyetegereza bwe tujjawo sisitimu eno eya Museveni kubanza gye ndwana okujjawo era asa Mukama Katonda ompa obulamu ndabe nga sisitimu ya Museveni evaawo ne banne bonna eggwanga erifugibweko Munnayuganda era lidde ku mutendera omutuufu Bannayuganda buli mwadde waabwe akola kyalina okukola bwe mutakikola bakabulaaza mwenna vidiyo yalire badde nkulu nnyo buli muntu yenna gy'oli ojja jjuli ojja gitegeera ng'obudde tebunnakuzibako tandika okuzuula weezuule omanyi kye tugenda okuzzaako tolinda munnabyabufuzi tolinda Lumbuye kwogerera weeyogerere situka ekibi kirabe nti kibi gwe mukengera mu kitundu si munnammwe nga omugwira mutandika mulemesa embeera bwe mutakikole bagenda bafuukira ekizibu kiringa omupangisa bono mpangisa enju agenda givamu yonna nga agyonoonye era gwolina okuddamu gimaintaininga kati gobono oddawo ng'ensi bajja bagitaagula okuddamu gikolako maintenance tekijja kuba kyangu. Remember abantu batudiringa nabo tebaswala. Obadde okimanyi abantu abasinga obungi mu Uganda balina pressure tebagina mbulwa kuba balina sukali mungi no. Kino kankigamba olwaleero. Abantu abasinga obungi balina pressure mu Uganda tebazina nti lwakuba balidde nnyo sukali balidde nnyo butono. Pressure eva ku ki? Embeera eriyo. Pressure sukali alusa ebirimba na Uganda kati nadaba indigenous ekiziba biretedde sinti ndyambi obalya nnyo ebintu by'omasaba nnyo sukali no mbeera ye baletedde embeera eyo ebyokulabirako bingi. Museveni nga yakajja buli family asobola okwegulira empuuta namba naye osanga family badduka ngoba motoka eriko gundi fire bagenda gula maguma ga mpuuta na mito gyangege. Mu Uganda ng'ennyanja zaffe gononga ku nnyanja yonna mwagikubyeko abavubi mbizinga byonna bavubi tebakyalina sse ku nnyanja bajala bavubako. Gonongamba wasanga abantu nga bali mu muceere mu ntobazi no bagoba mu ntobazi tebalina kulima muceere. Gonongamba omuntu eri asobola okuva e Dubai n'omugaa nti eri asoboza omutwalo gwa dola kati kimu etagisa emitwalo 10. Nojja n'ogamba nti buli muntu yenna kati alina obuyi bwapangisa Uganda mugenda mubbiringa mwagala nga temusoose kumanya income and expenditure ne mutandika okutikka abantu property rent ataliko kubanga it is intentionally mubijika abantu property rent nga bwagenda okwacumulatinga the end of the day mugenda muwabire mu kkooti mutwale amayumba ge. Kati baganda bange ekigambo kye bayita property rent mu Kampala mukono wa Kiso within the coming 3 years mbate mujje kwa government buli muntu agenda kuluzinga akayumba kabapangisa kalina sina kindi nyumba yo mbyogere naku zomwezi ziri 14 mwezi gwa kutano. Property rate agenda kutwazisa property z'abantu naye nga kyekigenda otwasa property z'abantu it is an economic sabotage, indirect economic sabotage. Olyajja tokubuza ennyumba y'opangisa kyesula ssente meka yaleese engalabize nabala nti olina emizigo 5 egy'abapangisa naga buli muzigo guno ye n'agenda n'ateeka mu kompyuta n'akusindikira epapula n'agamba nti okusinzira ku nnyumba zo buli mwezi twagalako enyumba 5 buli mwezi buli nyumba tujagalako emitwalo 5 mitwalo 3 n'akikuteeraawo kati gomboga yavubwo nanyini property bakusanzeewo tebakoze valuation oba assessment ku properties zo ne wosule gwa nagamba ne wayitayo myaka egi omusajja ne bakuleetera assessment ya property rate ne baga nti bakubanja milioni 10 oba milioni 5 ku buyumba 5 n'otandika okulimange enkoko empange enywedde amazzi amaanabemu ku kyalo niwemulugunya nga kyekigenda okwemulugunyiza kubanga eyakoze assessment yitayagala kumanya intention ye yaki delay in payments zaccumulatinge zimale okwacumulatinga bagambe tokyasobola kusosola ssente ezo kansa yagala ssente zaayo nga bakuba mu kooti ngegamba muzitunde ku nnyondo. Muzitunde ku nnyondo. Nayenga akugamba nti tunde nyumba ku nnyondo oba sasula property rate tazze kukola kye tuyita okunoonyereza oba assessment nti omusajja alina ennyumba 5 rentals 5 nti ye apangisa basasula ssente meka gwokimanyi apangisa amwanza n'okumala omwaka nga tasasudde emyezi 6 nga tasasudde. How will I top up the money ngompangisa amaze emyezi 6 tasasudde nyumba agifulumye oba ddusere sereza ngenda zitopinga konti Era gwazo okubaja property rent ngenda kunyonyola nti nyumba tezibadde mbapangisa. Ngenda kunyonyola nyumba tezibadde mbapangisa. One, omanyi omupangisa Uganda asinga nanyini njo amaanyi. Omupangisa Uganda asinga nanyini njo amaanyi. Negwakera ku macha n'ogula ploti. N'ozimba obuzigo bukuyambeko. Nga site kanso teriiwo. N'amasanyalaze wagesikira. N'amazzi wagesikira. Ompulira bulungi nnyo. N'ozimba ekikomera buli kimu n'okiteekamu nga tewali gavumenti ekikuyambyeko. Yo nejja n'etega engalo. Which is okay. Naye ne mukutega nga tefuddeeyo nti omupangisa obuvunazi omupangisa kiki. Omupangisa bw'akuba bamuwaabirawa. Era omupangisa bw'akuba avunaanibwa atya. Tikiriiwo. Niye gavumenti ezetteekawo ngalo. Tamanyi wapangisa basasudde bate basasudde. Yataddewo ngalo. The same applies to Uganda Revenue Authority. Mulemesezza abantu obulamu. Noleeta akaana kagamba n'ogo kava mu nte olw'okuba mwakasomesezza emyezi 6 kazira bifayiro. Takoze kye tuyita assessment ku bizinesi y'omuntu. Najeraga oina operation license. Business yeri musente meka. Yatu na butunuzi nadda mu calculator na kuwa receipt. Tategedde. Business yeri musente meka wagitandika ddi omazewo banga ki oyingiza meka ofuluma meka okolo ye n'awandika buwandiisi. Bwe tuba tukyalina system enfuweebyo. Muganda wange bino byetwogera ojja bitegeera ng'obudde bukugenzeeko. Kubanga kyonna kikuze nti system enfu erina okuvaawo. Tosobola kusalira muntu musango ng'omuntu takkiriza nti yazizza omusango. Obanga tolina bujulizi nti yazizza omusango. Ngafundikira. Munda Uganda gy'oli ovunanyizibwa kyenkanye ku kuwamba abaana bali mu Uganda Museveni batta. Ovunanyizibwa kyenkanye sente zibiwa mu Uganda. Ovunanyizibwa kyenkanye kufuga biriri mu Uganda. Ovunanyizibwa kyenkanye kugula emirimu mu Uganda. Ovunanyizibwa kubbibwa ensimbi bugenda maaso mu ggwanga. Ovunanyizibwa kyenkanye ku Museveni okutwala eggwanga lyaffe nga tutunula. Ovunanyizibwa kuttakiridwa ku bannayuganda ne bannayuganda abattibwa ovunanyizibwa kyenkanyi. Kubanga ssebateeka w'eggwanga akugamba nti power belongs to people. Bwaba power belongs to people kitegeeza nti gwe munnayuganda gy'otudde yenna olina okusituka nga toyawuddeemu ddiini kiggwanga ki byabufuzi ki ekikyamu kibeere kyekyamu okyogereko. Teri alya lumu nakkuta neyalidde n'awulira nga kusera ekyajja kwagala okulya breakfast ne lanchi ekyo mukyerabidde. Teri alya nakkuta n'alya luberera nti timba alidde agenda kumala myezi 4 nga taliwa 6 no. Bw'ogiridde olanga Museveni azikuwadde n'enchozi zajjagala nawe ojazaaga naye zigenda kuva ziva mu ggwe kati muvunanyizibwa kyenkanyi. Mfundikidde akatambi kano mpise ku akawunti eno peegi nazikoze empya ne baŋŋambye bulamu ennaku 6 okujja live. Ne wenabange efunye njagiddirako ne mugifollowing empya. Nkusaba page enkadde and following reporting eya Lumbuye broadcasting service saako ne page eya Kajubi Fred 2 mu reporting ebikolebwako ne biteekebwako sigange ndi mulamu sekusina kwatibwako byonna byogero bya pa mukaba 2010 ampera tujja kuliziganya onakola mwera video wed.
How are you today? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Lady Winnie Allison, and I'm coming to you today from the United States. I'm here to chat a little bit and share some information. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, from wherever you're watching today. It is May 14th, 2026. It is graduation season, so if you see some balloons in the back, my oldest daughter, or our oldest daughter, just graduated high school, going into high school, which is it's like finishing P7 going into S1. That's what would be the equivalent of the British or the Ugandan curriculum. Okay. Welcome, welcome. Shakira, welcome, welcome Philly. Welcome Marvio, welcome, welcome. I am happy to have you. I'm happy to be here. I've been looking forward to coming back, but with the graduation, I kind of had to take a day off or so. Yesterday and the day before, I believe I didn't come. But last night, I had to make an update about our comrade, our brother, our teacher of political science, Ugandan politics, our professor, Lumbuye Fred. I had to come out and make a video. I came live without a video, but I did a recording in my voice. Afoiwa Anya lady, tienendwe para bero, sorry, para ngwan ma beach. Abachiko bin kong bok lok manok, wa med kong lok nyako lok anyim, malubog jam matikati me, tutuale gang kuja. La wo ki la wo maja pa bino, ento aberu ki graduation pa anyaka na madirte, do tiyako P7 tikachare S1. So, wachi tini wang ma bino, la wo tiyana kata ki lok manok, update malubu lokom Professor Comrade Domenwa Fred Lumbuye, Matie Beritaki, Jopa Museveni gi go my page then go kwanyu page then no tie kere makilwoni Lumbuye Broadcasting Services, key page mokana ne kilwoni Kajubi Fred 2. Pages are your mono Museveni gene mohozi gene mafia gi go kwanyu page enyogo hello Biamukama. Oh, please, let's not mix that up. Hello Biamukama, thank you so much for being here. Faizara, thank you for being here. Julius, you're welcome. You're welcome. All of you, you're very welcome to our live today. I was updating in Acholi saying that the pages of Fred Lumbuye, Professor Fred Lumbuye, were hacked or taken over by Muhoozi and his cronies. Museveni, Muhoozi, the mafias, all of them took over that page. You know, they think when they take certain things, they take the spirit, but that's not possible. They cannot take or change Lumbuye from who he is, no matter what they do. Thank you, Harriet. Thank you, Aisha. You're welcome. Hadi, you're welcome. Mary, welcome, welcome. Richardson, welcome. From Porto? Fort Porto. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Please let me know where you're watching from. That's exciting to know. I'm coming to you from the United States. My name is Lady Winnie Allison. I would like to continue our conversation. I know that some of us have been broken by Museveni swearing himself in after stealing the election. Cosmos, somehow I lost my heart when I heard a rumor. I know, we all did, Cosmos. We all did. When I saw that page, I quickly contacted his close contacts and I tried to reach him. And so it was easy to establish true or false because I know that Museveni is constantly, Muhoozi, they're trying to get Lumbuye by all means. Kiza, my brother, you know, I grew up together with Kiza. So it's good to see you. Welcome. Zalina, welcome. Philly, you're very welcome. Nakazi, very welcome. Ambayo, welcome, welcome. Paul, thank you for being here. So I want us to chat a little bit about things that have happened, what's going on, the meaning of the event of the swearing in, the fact that Biabakama did not declare the results, and things like that. And afoyo wunweng, afoyo jo matie live man, dano ma politika bieno kombedi chawani, tienendo apara ngwen medwe ma beach, atamni ka bien kongo meta kilok ma lokom jemi tela matie time Uganda kombedi chawani. Atieki jami neno na ijami mauti me nirma la Museveni ukatekere swearing in kikui ma kwalo kiri zal ma Biabakama po meti nyoto na me electoral commission ingeni uchero uchi swearing in la boy report mo ke manyorni actually ani kwal ani gene ani lawyer kui tuan tek wija dada ento Museveni oberu la tek wij manaka yang wana yepe wangeyo kori diwi Museveni ni ento kumpedi chawani don wangeyo Museveni. All along, we didn't know who Museveni was. The facts that he has moved the goalpost every time. He has moved extremes to further extremities just to see what Ugandans can do and how they will react and all of that. But Museveni, I can assure you that if you could not take Uganda when we were sleeping, so to speak, if Museveni could not take back Uganda before we learned exactly who he was and who he is, before we knew that Museveni was Kony, before we knew that Museveni was all these other, like ADF in Kasese, before we knew that Museveni was Kony for northern Uganda, before we knew that Museveni was Pokot in Karamoja, before we knew that Museveni was all those proxies that killed and destroyed Ugandans. Now that we are awake, Museveni, you have no chance, especially that hoodlum of a son of yours. There is no way you will rest knowing that you have Uganda. For sure not. The fact that you have sworn in doesn't add to the fact that you are not legitimately a president of Uganda. You can call yourself that. You know, you can see from the attendances of the swearing-in ceremony, most of them were Africans. A few of them were extremely and heavily lobbied from the Western world. For example, the representative from the United States, one person of a delegation who went to the ceremony, that person was heavily lobbied to go and attend the event. Most of the times when the Western world will send somebody to go and do something like that, there are a lot of things involved. Some of it is to go and investigate, to see for themselves who this interesting person is. Also to capture what he might do live or be in the presence of how he may do certain things. So the African presidents who came, I can tell you that those ones came because Museveni somehow has a hand in their involvement, in their existence, in their winning of an election, in their other relationships, you know, like the AU being part of certain organizations. They couldn't avoid to be there because Museveni is somehow entangled in the leaderships of those organizations, which involve those people. Okay, that is the reason they were there. Obviously, his pets, his puppets, like Salva Kiir, he came because his strings are pulled by Museveni. Another one is the lady Suluhu. Of course, she had to be there. She's the puppet of Museveni. Museveni helped her win an illegal election and pronounced her 99% win or whatever. Kagame did not come. You know, they have another can of worms there. Obviously, there's the issues with Congo and because Museveni sort of threw Kagame under the bus. Maybe there's disagreements there, maybe not, but they are of the same camp. Museveni and Kagame are cut from the same cloth, the same ideology. In fact, Museveni planted Kagame in Rwanda, which makes it easy to understand that if he doesn't come, it does not mean anything. Doesn't. Ruto personally wasn't there. He was hosting Macron, the president from France. So it does make sense that he couldn't be there. But all the African presidents, all the other presidents who showed up or sent somebody have some sort of tie to Museveni in some sort of way. The best part is the African Union, which is an African Union. Somehow their ties, you know, he had to be there. Atika wachine, Jami Mauti me inero me gene me swearing in chalu ludire lutela me lobo mapadi magubiano ni. Unu nero ni jo magubiano chalu ki America ki chwalu la cho achiel keken. Ka tite wuni mwali bario ki piario werio. President Ruto inero me swearing in for President Ruto. Ki kelu delegation mo ki America Dana Beach magubiano ka witnessing ni la cho ni President me Kenya manyen President Ruto. Tika bino ka swearing in madana yo yero ma akala mo ke ken pere ma jami wen tika word ma be President Biden war Dana Beach me cher ka nanu ngo ka witnessing ka beru chaden in ma President Ruto kitika swearing in ento pa Museveni enini ki or Dana chel miero ngeni Museveni chulu Dana makluoni lobbyist uberu Dana man keketi itie ki keketi chalu campaign manager. Example, mameta me. Example, ma be lo ere campaign manager. In ka itika chero ka yenyu kui. Iyero campaign manager ko. Campaign unyo campaign agent. Campaign agent ene dan ma bu chero lo piri. Ma wachi umi kui ki ngate enini be. Ngate eni ngeyute me kuman ngate eni. Ki kadong ka kera mo kena jema wutie mano ini balo. Ma down tika penye neni. Ngate eni utawa win ber kuman. Lobbies to beru down ma bu wachi ngate yani po beru kuman ngate eni beru kuman. Ma beru down ko berichani lobbies pa Museveni I America ki chulu chok billion chaka beach. Ma ki chwalu chana ki State House. Me chulu la chone yani wa omete ki lok ma be ki nyeng Museveni. So ngate yani tiche dong yupo nyeng Museveni ki nero ni Museveni unen ma be iloba America kany. Ento pegeo video mano wano chi chwalu ne jame maraj ma Museveni timu ma I America duanta. So dan ma ki chwalu ki America me cher ka beru witness kunune. Oberu dano ma Jala Museveni, campaign manager pa Museveni Americani, o lega ma uchulu bene chiene ma wachi jalwe. Konywa we America uchachi nen kunu bene. Wek jo matamani Museveni rachi gunne ne America bene chie. Chi wane anu la cho achiel kuma en. Mala cho ne oni bene pero mo wani uber la deep gimo ke ken. La cho ne uber way down mati keketi president's office. No presidential advisor. Presidential advisor chalo down ma gene jo ma loge TV mera ta ma bene no ken mo ken pegin yang gina giti loko neni. Ko eketi down ma kelwoni full figure. Ne chalo wonu ngeyo. Keketi America uchor full figure yeo cher kwene. I chaden pa Museveni ka swearing in. Man yuto ni no down ma pira tek. Ma pe pira tek. Down ma dongi wai in ko we kong tichi ti atimne ni ko. Tichi ni ben pira patek. Ko I chat ko chinen kong gina la jok chani tika timne Uganda. So ki oro kun ki oro ni tichi ni pe pira tek. Anyway, in tichi gu beru ticha tata. Cherchi maki wa machani. Makonye peni. Eno we down wa ki America be dana chele ken kumai. Now, I am saying that the lobbyists, the person who was sent from America to go and witness Museveni swearing in, it does not mean the volume, like America sent a delegation of 5 representatives to go to Ruto's swearing in 2022. Museveni has a lot of questions around the presidency. The United States is not an exception of knowing the facts. Senator Jim Risch has done a phenomenal job highlighting on the atrocities of Museveni. So, this gentleman who was sent, it doesn't have to mean that he embellishes any importance. He was lobbied heavily by the Museveni lobbyists in America, in Washington, D.C., because that is their job. The lobbyist is supposed to help Museveni look good. And so he had to find a way to send somebody. So let's just say they found this gentleman and said, you know what? What you do is not that important anyway. We need you to go over there to Museveni for a day or so and come on right back. So just to show you that there was not much value to that. So don't fear, do not worry, do not despair that America is complicit with what he's doing, what Museveni is doing, or the swearing in. They know for a fact that there was no DR forms. They know for a fact that Museveni did not win the election. They know for a fact that this was an illegitimate swearing in. They know for a fact, we have in fact the attorney of His Excellency Chagulanyi Sentamu, Amsterdam, Robert Amsterdam, who knows and has been reporting publicly what Museveni has done and how come Museveni's government is a family cabal and they've performed a lot of atrocities, okay? Everything that we have shared, we have fed into the ICC, the international organizations, the EU, the state, the Department of African Affairs, all of the departments that pertain to Africa and the region and everything and the atrocities that Museveni has continued to commit. So do not despair. I am begging you, do not despair because you saw Museveni swearing in. Do not despair because a representative was sent from the United States. Compare 5 representatives delegation going into Ruto's swearing in ceremony versus one guy who is not publicly known to be anything important. They got him his ticket. They said, go on for a trip. He went on to Uganda, and that was that. Not important. Don't worry about it. The African delegations, the presidents who were sent, obviously have ties to Museveni somehow. But you also saw that some of them did not turn up. There's a big number that they're showing of, I think, 47 or 57 delegations or presidents or representatives from other countries. Not really. If you count, we did not have even 15 or 20 nations represented. That's for sure. You can look at the videos. Okay. Something else that marred the event. You saw that Museveni, as like every swearing in or the appropriacy of swearing in ceremonies, never in the past years that Museveni has come up and they've announced and all of that he had to have the CDF hand him the instruments of power. It is normally supposed to be handed in, yes, by some CDFs, but it should have been handed in by the Electoral Commission chief or chair or whoever that is, that person. As we had talked about how the events would happen, they tweaked a lot of things. A lot was changed so that we don't look right. Okay? For example, I told you that Museveni would be presenting Muhoozi like Simba in the movie The Lion King when the lion had a baby and was presenting that baby to the kingdom saying, this is your successor, because in the kingdom, that is how it works. But Uganda is not a kingdom. So essentially, this event was to present Muhoozi as the future. Even as Museveni swears in, you can see in his half-life, Museveni has deteriorated. He looks tired. He doesn't feel complete. He knows that he stole the election. He knows that he's lying. He knows that we're all witnessing a lie. He doesn't know what to tell the other people. His wife is dead and is in the fridge or at home or on the dinner table or on his bed. I mean, he cannot adjudicate to that. The guy is supposed to be miserable. He's trying to look strong. Muhoozi cannot handle this thing. The guy looks half full as a human being. You can tell that they're empty. They're just vessels parading out there. Okay? So, atika wachi, jami mauti me in an election ni uberu Museveni binu ka nyutu wode. Lok ma ana titi wula karchani ubebi jami kita jami no bote me kere ni anayoni. Gunone omiaragi weng la kiremoni kenyu. Wek loka ni po bela da. Kitima tata kere ento jami mogo ubi nero kita puru dong no kira tikwere. Ana wachi wuni Janet po beberu chie. Janet po beru pe. Pien Janet ko beri chan kwane pere ya. Ento jo chachwin gitek. Mama konyepe. Yes, Dennis, thank you. The public service. Okay, I'll get to that also. Thank you very much, actually. Jocha chwingitek. Kwatiti wuni lachoni Museveni downe kwane urwenwaro. Ento unen kiragi waru kere kitek chwin iwa igimo marat ke kanpe ilobuni. Down uta mamani uta unyo mama kerido. Okay, kerti mamani kome liara dada. Ini rongu keta katata me biene kin down beri wegi mama rajpe biene pe loga yeba kun down no ni Janet pe down je pe Janet pe Museveni po mediteto ni Janet komelet unyo Janet ti maroka unyo Janet ti ot unyo Janet ni po mediteto ne makun wange ni Janet kwone dong pere wore Muhoozi bene ukatila ni anocha wachi mienne peti mabe tika wachi suluhu me Tanzania ni tiru go chim ki wone nental tika metro mienne metro wone ko go kong unu nen tek twin Mati kom Johnny. Wunu nen kwa chwin mati kom Johnny. Utang ni Johnny ade dani ni gipar piwu. Museveni pe paru ka ebini ngolo ngudano holi weng ini kololo kenyu ni. Ngolo ko weng bene beru mod beri wegi mo bene po yelo. Monu kwa chwin pa joma aki Rwanda. Tutwale Museveni gi. Monu kwa chwin. Ento awechi wuno ni Museveni ko bino is swearing in bu bino ka nyutu wode kundong ba miu batun ki wode wachi ene dobo meta nyim. Menu kita kitimu kere ke Kema no ki yuboni ubeberu kumenu ni wota ngari ki wore nyunyo nyare obimete ki loji community enini ento man Uganda man democracy ma president o miere o work lodge jo mo kene da don ki luoni transition ineno man inone okelo wode me anyura pien unu neno instruments gina ki luoni jami me teach mano ki miu mano kano president manyen uno Museveni ubukwanyu jami eguni miu kila din manyen wachi inde meta ki teach no mede fungwa gi kwa nga gini mi chien wachi inde meta ki teach unu neno wode aye enti ukere ma kwanyu jami yani o miu kinga ki wone mana yang gine ni po mediti me ki yada la dit me public service ena kwanyu gina ki luoni instruments jami me teach mega mente manyen kwanyu kamiu kila din manyen manodon ki yer matika swearing in wachi indong manje me mamiere ti kere anda ti mega inde mede kwere pe wode ye miu jemu kere ma onero wode obinu macharu la dir lobo ka onero mutoka ne kira ki labeling kere ka choy kere jemu ne mo ki choy manyuru ni mana yela tela neno ento pago bakati mo bo tero ni ada jemu ne bo beru kuman obinu mere kanyutu ne ana wachi no bo nyuru bode ma nyuru kuman chalu simba i film magal wonia nis digena ni Lion King uberu ke pa gena ke meidilum makun nyurni labuo ayela dit menga me community meidilum chika latino piano labuo dok latino meta ki lochu men simba malaten makinwalo dong laten labuo ni wonne obiano nyuru ki le weng matinga i community gi kono kun wajini mana ye latela wu mabilo puko an kadongan ko na pe gina Museveni utemoni uberu kiti ene ki kome neno lok mo kene ma utete ene kuno Museveni wachi en tame ni dano po bi neno manyuti neno pegani kun wachi jo Uganda do bi neno gina yang gen pia ginen kwoge dano po bi neno pichan to pego madira dada ki rwenyu kwo en magwai rwenyu gina yo me kwani mena ngwen ni gina dongu biti ye maboloyo mama Museveni kieno kene ka loko no tika loko bot jo Rwandese ne kun wachi ni eni dong mawabi magoni we umak teach pe odoka neno pe do ni en wachel umak wa teach kita wa mero kede meto Uganda go we wana ye wa bedlu lonyo wana ye wa lo Uganda Umak teach pe unen. Ena Museveni wachi no sleep this time. You know? No more corruption bena waju. Kun ene no tikati erne but down my ende bi gwero ki gamente enini. Manyeni wakimachoni. Jo madong tutwale miti wode ubini wai malaika. Miti wode ubini wai nga. Iwa Yesu. Mano ubinu ka konyu dano ubinu ka you know katimuti moguma pat ma wek dano mare ni. Ento no ena iko kwa chibalo neba. Pian genti yukumeno. Gibalo ma tek kadok gidugo gibai. Oh sorry. Nga mo bela timuti kumane ni. Inano. So I was saying that this was truly to present Muhoozi. As you can see his deliverance when he came in the first time. You can see the handing over of the instruments of it was supposed to be, Dennis, thank you. The public service person was supposed to hand over those instruments to Museveni, not Muhoozi. But in essence, they had to change things a bit because of what we had already talked about. But everything that they did was truly, as we had said, they tweaked it just a little bit. The other thing I mentioned was that Museveni, Janet would not be there. As you saw, the presidential dinner the day before, when he hosted the people who had come in to swear in, truly, Janet was not there. As we had said it, they tried everything possible. They even have a video that they put together to try to present Janet in a video if he did not come to the event. But he came to the event and he couldn't bring a dead body to the event. But that just goes to show you how evil and sick these Muhoozi Museveni people are. Imagine he has lost his wife. Muhoozi has lost his mother. But the ceremony continued like nothing has happened. I mean, that is the darkest of hearts I've seen. Museveni is the worst person I have heard of in my life, and I've not lived very long. Since I was born into his presidency. All I've known is Museveni's presidency. That's how come now I can talk, because I know so much about it. I have lived it. But to show you that these people are sick in their head and they're dark and they will do anything to they could have slaughtered everybody at Kololo and walked away like nothing happened. Which doesn't negate the fact that they may have done something to all those people, and I'll get to that. How sick is it that this man, the planned Semwandu, goes on to handle an event like a swearing-in ceremony where Janet is usually known as Mama, Mother of the Nation, Mama Janet, you know, she's dead, not there. The guy doesn't speak about her. The son does not speak about her. Despite all the questions, they move on like nothing happened. I mean, he never mentions the absence of Janet. Like, literally, it is obvious. Everyone is questioning it. Not a word. That is how sick these people are. It is said that Janet was already buried in Tanzania. But obviously, they are going to perform some sort of burial ceremony in Uganda because Janet, before she passed, foresaw Uganda getting completely messed up. And she knew that Ugandans no longer want them. So what he did, she wrote in one of her last rites and said, I would rather be buried where we can call home for a longer term. Because in Uganda now, people hate us, and I could probably be dug out in a moment of, you know, Ugandans disagreeing or whatever the case might be. She was worried that she may get dug out and burned or just played around with, because Ugandans are just waiting to celebrate the news. We know she's gone. And we are dying to celebrate because for once, these people have felt it where it matters. But let me tell you, we could be wrong, because these people are sick as the devil himself. Sick. They showed no remorse. That means whatever they're going to do for the next government, the next 5 years or the next time they're in power, is going to be worse than you can imagine. So brace yourselves for it, Uganda. It's going to get worse. I promise you. It's going to get worse if we don't do anything. If we don't do anything, it's only going to get worse. So ati wachi, chol chwin pa Johnny, ki kwa chwin pa Johnny, magi beri way gimo ayela mo ka ken penny. O nyuru dong be meta kinyutu kita Johnny chwin giraju ke pian Ugandans ko beri chan no gitika kwora mengo yom chwin menyeno ni gien bene daro bene utoi gangi gien bene tika winyarem eno pego nyuru mono ba manyuti jocha raju ki wachi Janet ko beri chani ki yego godong ki yego kwane Tanzania piana wechi muni Tanzania Museveni wili yengo madira de dama yubu gimoni beri way city wunu winyi way I lok ma beri ka lokone gena ikololo kacha o waju ki doge ni Tanzania Maboro Tanzania dida. PNN. Yes, Dennis, but we need it on a large scale. For all Ugandans to be on the streets, everybody do what they do to celebrate so that we can celebrate the demise of this woman. It is time for Ugandans to enjoy something. And this one is top of the list. Okay? So, Janet Kuberichani kiwaiki yoko Tanzania, ento karma Janet topian, karma ento kerini, uno dong Ugandans do choko. Ugandans don't deg ya dida. Ma general when you lego Museveni ya dida ni ping up our work kepa Johnny. Ping up our work Johnny ya work. Johnny pegi miro wa wakwalu kuya kwala. You know, wakwalu kui wa work dong piara ngwendo ramo. Ento Museveni peye. Ma Museveni peye ni bana enye ni teri ali pap ki kui ni yani. No kibi mare. Ma kibi tere either kibi tere mabuji. Unyo Museveni no dong pekwa. Pien down ma Johnny utim aranyi kom gidwa. Ta. Museveni pera mkwa wala chanyanya meteng yo bana miro gone wiye. Wala la gene la tuampi making gang bene mir pisa Museveni koi go manyuti en nge dong loyo ni en ke we okay we chide tum en we Museveni mir toy dogeni en we meti wode da magini bien Museveni nge ni wa gweno ne po beri Uganda wang chawa chel teki Museveni gidong pay lot mwet petie gi moke ken ma udong gi Uganda marki wachi kita jene dongi yoni Pien karma jene toma endo ngeni debi cha awinyu wachi ene meti peke yire Uganda pien ngeni jo Uganda dong pe mere manyuti karma ka ken ka jemi ulaka dada jo Uganda bu gole ro ki bi gole ke le yatne ki kera katata ki time kera ki wow stima kera tata pe meti ki lan chogone chi wai ki yire kacha plan na Museveni gidong tieni gube karte ki to apa Janet ikine duwe ma bichel nyu duwe ma biero ena gi karte kwereni gube watching on Gubi keru gima ma obedi wai kom down ki kere kofen ki timu ceremony ko mabe yi kita ki yoker down ki bi yi ko mabe eno no ki yi ko gimoni pe kom down bien kom down no ki yi ko kacha ento le witch man no down wai uya wunu wai Janet aki Uganda do wunu wai wunu ti Uganda ko pingo da pe ko yi ko kan pingo jeru yi ko kamoni so gitika luoro ko question mu beru kiti eno wero ki bi timeni ki yi ko gimoni Uganda Kenya so they are afraid of the questions Ugandans will have regarding Janet when they come out in June or July to say truly she has died and we need to make a formal burial of Janet in Uganda. So what they are going to bury is not going to be the person of Janet. They are going to create some sort of thing, a doll or whatever, mold something like Janet and put it for public display. You know, sometimes Museveni doesn't allow for coffins to be opened of dead people. When Jacob Alanya passed away, rest his soul, I know that one of the things that people had talked about and asked me said, wait a minute, we have not seen him. When I shared on my page that Museveni had refused to allow the coffin to be opened for his final viewing, he finally let it open. But in common practice, it is common practice that people like Kasidia Gwanga, Museveni burned his body and made coffee ground out of him and uses that coffee for people who visit State House. It's mixed up in other coffee. So people who visit State House and have some coffee, take a sip of some of the people that Museveni refused their coffins to be opened for final viewing, and Museveni has a guard on their graves. They have a guard on their graves. So I spoke about how come they were not opening the coffin of Jacob Alanya, and then he chose to open it. Otherwise, he had refused. Okay, it is the reason why there are certain graves in Uganda that Museveni puts a military guard, 3, 4, 6 of them on the grave. I don't know why. I know why. Because he wants people not to dig it up and find information and find out if their person is truly in there, if anything at all is in there. Because most people who have died have been taken to Museveni first for his personal sacrifices, whatever he does. There are 6 things that I heard he has done to the father of my children. It is insane to even think about. But he has done it. Listen, if Museveni can behave like this at the funeral, at a celebration, doesn't mention his wife, believe me, these guys are sick. I'm going to tell you some things that I think is going to blow your mind. Some of these things that I'm telling you, I can't even explain. I've never seen, never experienced, but I've gotten the information from the source. So I want you to share it so you can imagine the evil in the sick people who are leading Uganda right now. Sick, insane. Yes, Zuleika, the body of the bishop. I mean, these guys are something else. So Atika Wachi, Timpa Johnny, Rajadeda. Hold on just a minute. I gotta get some air in here. It's hot. Ati obati timpa Georgiani Rajadeda. Kita ne kede ni pego betero ni Janet come pe anyway. Wundo ku kito beteme kede. Kiada kibe yigo yekuno kibe yigo gimani. Nero. Kibe yigo gimani no be enada. Ento gene kagu yigo. Kibe teme kede ni dong liela da kita yang chan kita juini kita kiyo kede dani. Eno no pe ada. Chid nyuru kita Johnny twin giraju kede. Okay? Atie ke jami mogo mami ata titi wu. Ma tirne jami ne mogo titu ne tek. Pian ane ko mani pa ne ano bene pa ngeyo. Ento pian information mano a ki iye kuno ki bot Johnny. Amiete no wero ni an kita diwi Johnny tie kede. Kita twin gi tie kede. Mano kitemgi makwaro dano ma aki Uganda. Awa Uganda kapewa ayu wunu malo. Chi kwa boberu dengba. Obi mette do amera pian ku berichani mwa biche ni dongu ma ke chiapa magen waja ni message ma eno wacho ni no sleeper da mam wachi down Uganda po obi nero ma po leni ini nero kirate maktika temne ku berichani gitika ngon generation megi no youth en buluni ena egi mere konge kwanyu ne ma biti tu kita ku betimu kwere ni inero kado tiego bulu gimir tu ale Buganda pian unu ngeni Buganda oberu Kaikete Kampala beru city ko gulu bena city ka weng city kama city ti yani tima be ento Kampala beru city mo kwa city me gen economic city me wel ma do ki business biacha ma do time Kampala maucha ka ki karipa Buganda wanigi wa do Kampala ni pian wege wa no ni wotelo teno kwa ne I Kampala city mangu wa chiki mete gitu Buganda wanga dong pere Peter ni pego betor kamo kena pian chika mo kena do gutoro bene kar ma laj magitika timatata elare kon Uganda e northern Uganda kacha mo apia yo dan mer tumo ADF kasese kacha make ton dan salmit paka chok tumo ineno kamo kena ma pari panga en machete en ma jo ma ton dan di warning po leo beru kwene I Buganda uneno karamoja kacha eastern jo pokot mono weng no Museveni ukera ni mono tit ma Johnny miero ti ma dan miero tumo go watch compare chawni dongwe dan buye no okay so Amiati Achaki I want to start with the first you know one of the things the plans that they have going forward after saying that there will be no sleep they mean it in what they mean is the fact that in Buganda especially they are going to cause the most distraction because they believe Buganda is one of the reasons they're failing in their attempts. I want to say this to Museveni again, that I know that you may watch this. If Museveni failed to take over and completely flip over Uganda and make it Rwandi's federation or whatever he dreams of, or make it their dynasty, while we were sleeping, while Lumbuye was not here, while we were not actively involved in questioning everything about Museveni, why does he think he can do it now? It's impossible to do it now. Impossible. Museveni, it is impossible for you to do this now when we are awake. There's no way. We are questioning everything. We're looking at everything with a magnifying glass. We're dissecting everything you do. Whatever you say is no longer superficial. We're looking in the details. We are smuggling security alerts right from under your nose. There is no way you have us. Museveni kanene no tamoni de kwanyu Uganda. Ikare ma wan put pia wakati kilok. Madan put pia wangu yapeni. Kwanyu Uganda ngai Museveni kare enni. Museveni tamoni kuberichawa ni ayedong ene bi kwanyu Uganda. Po bilare. Pien jami wengma Museveni timu watina na kumai. Gene. Jami wengma timu lok ma Museveni lok dong pedo ye ni dong do waje do bed kumero. No. Gin mo ke ken ma Museveni waju wabi neno wabi ngiu wabi nyamu wabi nyangte wabi kertero li weng men yang ngoma tika wachneni dok tika wachne baranga pien kien mo ken ka en logo child protecting the gains inni po beru gains pa un Uganda ya gains ma Museveni wa ni protecting oberu gains pa jo Rwandese jo mano dong tika timo jemi go Uganda. I'm saying protecting the gains was not meant for Ugandans. So every speech of Museveni is going to be dissected, is going to be researched, is going to be broken down. We are not going to swallow your pills like we used to, Museveni. If you couldn't get us then, if you could not take Uganda before we woke up, my dear, it's too late for you. It's too late. The best thing we have is time. We have all the time in the world. And I'm not saying we're going to live forever. And I'm not saying that we'll outlive Museveni. Because death and life is not on us. God makes that decision. Anything can happen to anyone at any time. But I'm saying that in general terms, Museveni has no time left. Museveni is desperate. We have time, and we can get this done today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, anytime, because we have time. There are so many Chagulanyi Sentamus all over the world that love Uganda, that are friends for Uganda, that are born Ugandans, that are outside of Uganda, that are inside of Uganda, that Museveni, no matter what you do, you have no time and you don't have a stampede like we do. So this is temporary. Yes, you got a representative from the United States, but it's not a 5 delegation like they went to see President Ruto. You have a lobbyist in the US who can get anything done, but we also have our ways. So we're not disappointed. We're not in despair. I ask everyone to wake up. Whatever you are doing, do it 150% now. More than you've done it before. More than you have done it before. We have this guy. We have got this guy because we have time. We have time. We have energy. We have life. We mean well. We did not steal anything. We are happy to be doing what we are doing, even on empty stomachs. The people whose houses are being broken in Kampala or anywhere in Uganda, those are people who supported Museveni. Those are people in Museveni's camp. They're crying now. Museveni has hammered Nupe. He has beaten new people. He has killed. He has destroyed everything. We have nothing more to lose. We are ready to just jump on his jugular. Okay? So be empowered. Neno, atika wachi, Museveni kari no dong tamoni ende ramut gini eniba. Tie jami aria dek, ma Museveni, ma tie, mati marach, kiputung bod Museveni. Kaya kete to kudilo. Ini nero team chani, ki team enini. Wa kete ini team pa Museveni, eni team wa. Team pa Museveni, mwakane do cheroko. Eni gina Museveni pero mo welo ne dak pero mo duako ne. Kaya dada ene nila neno chama, neno Museveni I swearing in kachani. Kome dong pe, gubu dong pe. Kan neno ber neno ki teka dada. Loke ken, lok tere. Utemeni pie la kirmani kenyu, mono ki tuju ki vitamin dada. Utemeni pie la kirmani kenyu, eno kono me deslever ya dek kodong pe. Chwinyo ramu chocha mo eken. Museveni mwaka pie ra bungwen ki wiye. Pien bolo dani mwaka pie ra boro ki wiye. Museveni mwaka pie ra bungwen ki wiye. One, Museveni tie ki jami weng, tie ki lotiano, tie ki family, tie ki lonyo me Uganda go weng. Ene odi maki tika torne tengioni, odi pa jopa Museveni ki. Neno, Museveni do wero Ugandans luchana deda wekoda dore camp enini. Jo me camp eni matie Ugandan National Unity Platform, jo ma mero change ni. One pole wati bulu. One pole wati ki kare me anyim, wati ki kwa, matika biyan, kwa gere kekete, rubage ram kwa ni kwa cha mo eken. Ento I general, kumai, waka lokong mere general. One job ba wati team ma wa mero change ni. Mwaka waputie ba. One job ma wati team enini. Gima wadong pere, Museveni ugoy, o kwanyo lonyo kichi ngwa wali wenke nen Bobby Wine wa ata bene pere Museveni kwanyo ata Bobby Wine ko beach pa Bobby Wine katikiro mer kwanyo ne ko jo mati di gena itengio jo achar wil Uganda kacha kilor no dukan yo kitime ko tata danu dong no makai ki go at money ni kono be steps kono di bene pe oriwa ko ne bene pe wa bi ko pian gi mo wa dong pere ento wati generation me bulu ma tika nekwa me change tika nekwa. We are hungry for change. Watie ki gubu, watie ki mwake me anyim, watie ki kare. Gima wa mudong bedong pere, jemi wa wenki kwa lako, kibal jemi wa wen. Wadi wa, kono wege wa, kono mege wa, maki neko ne duanta. Inheritance kono ngoni, pere bodwa. Ento wa dong ki komwa, ki wi wa matiyu, ki komwa matek. Ma watie ready, pia lora, chawa mo keken. Keken. So Jomati Uganda mak annually me Uganda. Chwinyu poto. Uchung matek pian gubu tie. Mwaka tie. Lonyo wabe pere. Enjo madong pe nian tutwale jopa Museveni gi. Wan ka wanian ko libat. Per gimama watam ko ni business man tie bale ko ki kwanje mi weng. Wanian ko li ruat. Wachoma wa yeng. Wachoma wa mira laga. So are you chung matek? Uchung wono matek. Gimoye kera tika kariki bot Johnny. Wukwe wa ujema wa. Boye ya. Wunu tiki jemi when camp change. You have everything going for you. Camp loss. Camp Museveni. They have everything to lose. We have everything to gain. Those are two teams. We have everything to gain. When they break those buildings, they're not ours. Okay? So it is up to you, who is young, to be smart and brilliant, not to go for that rice that Museveni is making because it's poisonous, not to accept small money because the future is large. This small money that you're going to get will take you nowhere. Nowhere. These Balaam people are giving you this, that, and the other. Please don't accept that money. Stand strong and be bold. Do not accept to be fooled, to work for the Musevenis. I'm going to give you a typical example of a Ugandan who has worked for Museveni diligently. And it is time for Museveni to kill her. It is time. Ugandans wake up and choose to be on the right side of history, or current affairs for that matter. Side Potiat kichani, piana bin YouTube dano mo makuperi chawani, o timu jemi weng pe Museveni. Ento. Museveni do wachi omiere ki kwan jemi yoko weng kibore. Weng. Ki kwan jemi weng ki tuwe yoko, chware ki neko, en bere miero chapchi toko. Dago ni no yang pero mutietu gimo ire, magina pe miero winyu kwa. Anita Among. Anita Among is an example I'm going to bring to all Ugandans working for Museveni. Anita Among she's now fat enough for the slaughter. Let me go to that first anyway. So, according to, you saw during the swearing-in ceremony, Anita Among tried to speak with Muhoozi. Muhoozi was so disgusted that he could not bear to give her a glimpse of his eyes. It was just too much. He could not even look at Anita Among. And yet Anita is staring right at her. That is a picture of a true Uganda today. Today, that is where Uganda is. Uganda is Anita Among. The Muhoozis, the Musevenis is Muhoozi's picture. That figure of Muhoozi and Anita Among. Anita Among represents Uganda and Muhoozi represents the dictatorship. You can tell how disgusted Muhoozi is. He doesn't even want to look at her despite what she's trying to tell him. Meanwhile, this woman just passed a bill for them in a very rudimentous way. She did not think that tomorrow things would change. But I tell you, their plans for Anita will bring her to her knees. And this goes for every Ugandan. So let's start with Anita Among. Atika wachini, chalma wununeno matika nen matika warata manyuru Muhoozi gina Anita Amonge. Kekete eni Muhoozi. Man Anita Among. Anita Among natika wachigimani about Muhoozi. Ento Muhoozi chwinye dega Anita tutwal maperomo noni pemete nen wa Anita. Makune ni no speaker never. Man put speaker by parliament, put pia again no bale. Despite being the speaker, awachi Muhoozi, Anita take a lock board Muhoozi, ento Muhoozi pemete e tiki wai, menen no wa Anita. Unyo kari ni nen konka wi Anita kuman. Menen just figure pa Anita kuman. Po me ticket wine come Anita. Manu the lock Anita te watching deck ira deda. Bene pemete nen wine pemete win wa lock. Teach out your wachi ping or down in Kio Bill Chakera. Mana ye child me Uganda. Kekumanak. Okay. Mana ye child manyuru Uganda. Anita Among tie child me Uganda. Child pa Uganda kuperi chawani. Muhoozi oberu child pa ngo gamente pa Museveni. Mena ye kita Museveni gi beru kere ki wan mawati Uganda ne. Ineno dongwe. Mena ye child me Uganda ki kome. Ene ka wunu keng ineno swearing inwe. Gineani unyuru ade daine ne kita Johnny paru kere piwa. Pegi paru wachel. Abi titu wu kita dong muho Anita Among chawa ne do ramo ko. Museveni gido wachi kare do ramo. Mekwa nyo Anita Among ki jami weng mano Anita Among tiye. Abi titu wu kita gino buwaro kere. So, let's start with Anita Among. I wanted her to be last, but let's do that first because I'm right there. Okay, so you remember at this parliamentary seating where they talked about the sovereignty bill and they passed the bill. One of the things that Anita Among said to Joel Senyonyi, Anita Among said that it was their last supper, and that is to Joel Senyonyi. And Joel said, what do you mean by that? To tell you how tables have turned. That moment, whatever Anita Among said about being the last supper, take it from me that Anita Among is on her very last supper. Things are about to change tremendously. Tremendously. Here is how. So far, there's been talk about Anita Among not becoming a Speaker of Parliament anymore. There is also talk about Tayeba, but Tayeba is one of them. You just never know. I'm not going to bet anything on that. But for Anita Among, it is clear that she's no longer going to be Speaker of Parliament. Everything that Anita Among has done, everything the government has on her, remember the case where this lady Nandutu is in prison for, all that involves Anita Among. Anita Among has been fattened and she's ready for the slaughter by the NRM government. That's exactly how it happens every time for everybody who has died working for Museveni. This is the same script. Those of you who are rushing to work for Museveni, this same script follows you. Museveni will not take you on and give you a lot of power if he has nothing on you. They have enough on Anita Among. This is what they want to do to Anita Among. Atika wachi, Anita Among don kara ne oramo, me abaya, me aya, ineno, kiwachi joma gire, joma guago le charo upego ni. Upego pe chate mafut pia no fuki. Pien kilo ne no po barwate, bene pe chate mabe, wele pe war mabe. Ento upego ka do fuki o mabe. Ene don ngo, one upego, one farm don wai kara ne do ro meter ne chuk. Anita do upego ma do kero fuki don mabe. Uramatera de chuk, abititi how. Muhozi gi, gini Museveni gi, gini mafia gi, guwachi, gino miyaragi kwa mtimu ne ena ye, kwanyu kwa pachwa Anita Makiluoni ya Magogo ni yoko. The first thing they want to do is take away the life of Magogo, Anita's husband, Triple A's husband. Okay? They want to bring her to her knees. While that happens and she's wallowing in tears, all of the crimes that Anita Among has committed will all come back to life. Kaki tiyo kwanyu kwa pachware Makiluoni Magogoni, mabeno chamuchana madira ta I Football Federation, Confederation of Football, kona nga gini. Actually, Magogo has tons of other cases, including match fixing and stealing a lot of money made for the Football Federation. All of those crimes are on the table. Museveni has the file of all of Anita Among's troubles, and they're coming in droves. So after her husband has been taken away, lost his life basically, all of Anita's crimes, including those of the ones including what's her name? Nandutu. Nandutu is in prison, remember, for corruption and Mabati thief and something that had to go to Karamoja. It is the reason Anita Among is sanctioned. The same crimes that make Nandutu in prison today and Anita Among out is the same crime that caused the sanctions, corruption, one of them, okay? Several other corruption cases, such as the Mpuga deal, where Anita Among was behind giving Mpuga the 500 million. All of those, even if they were ordered or Museveni instructed Anita on how to weave those crimes, they're no longer, nobody else is responsible except the executor, who is Anita Among. All those crimes are coming back to life. After Magogo has been killed, they want to put Anita in a position between two walls where she cannot reveal all the dirt she has done with Museveni. All of the things that Museveni has sent her to do, Anita will not be able to talk about. Because if she opens her mouth, she already has several crimes of corruption on her. She has already lost her husband. She already tested positive for poison. Anita will be like this. And all of you who depend on her will have no access to her because Museveni wants her gone, gone. It is serious. So, Anita Monka don kwa pachware ke kwanyo. Museveni meti balpa Anita o weng maberu charu jemi maki or Anita ni uteme. Mogo maberu kwa lumbati mogo maki weki te Karamoja ni. Piana Anita ununge ni tiki bal mauti mo mawe pero peke ye chere lo muka na chala America. Gin Makiluoni sanction ti kom Anita. Anita Among pero mo bini America. Anita Among pero mo chere Europe. Tie lo mau kwara Anita Among ngopi bal ma yano ti mo pe corruption ikom dano me Uganda. So Anita pero mo chere waka mo ken. Gin Museveni miro ena ye make to Anita I box kuma enini. Ikin gina rio ma Anita pero mo dire pero mo yueyu. Komberi chawani Anita kiwachi uchamo ya poison ma Museveni poko juini. Piano cherchi pime unoni poison ti kome. Aya, kimet kitoa pachware maki wai kibine ko ni. Pien chware ben la kuoma ta chene maki kere fufa ko fifa gini. Weng no kinoni kuchama tata. Anita Among ena yo beru la mi chene million mi a bit bon Mpuga I parliament. Record me I parliament ma aki office pa commissioner ma nyurni Anita Among kwalu chene di chenki di wo pere kene duanta. Anita Among tie kilonyo ma petiepte. Pero mon yang ni dan mati Uganda chiki kori lonyo yani. O wego wang muhozi ki kwa o pian muhozi wa kori mutoka manito okay lo makilone Rolls Royce ni. Mutoka pa Queen ba? Bunu ngeni Rolls Royce mutoka pa Queen. Mutoka yani kake yubu achelo nyo ario nyo beach imwa achel. Pian mutoka cha ena kiloni bells and whistles di. Jammy weng ti ye. Kai beru kuman chako temo massage ko komi. Kai wachi dira kuman idiu meri baton jara gimoni kanyi diu loke loka kuman. Kai mero loka wa uteri wa ko bene loke. Dogo la pa mutoka cha yape kilong. Rolls Royce beru mutoka pa Queen. Mutoka pa Jome Europe and Kabaka me Europe. Ena mutoka Rolls Royce. Kabaka me Buganda tieki Rolls Royce. Mono beru mutoka ma pien kaba kita wachi kere ni Buganda beru organize karma lach. Jami gi uber ka wad mabe pikar malach mutoka makiri ni uber bi beru meet manaka yang chon chi ibuganda mutoka makiloni Rolls Royce tie makar man nita ukatiki mutoka enuni muhozi ukatichi wachi ujane an manaka yang kuona pia beri kori mutoka enini babana maanangi babana ma uber babana pe makapiera bitwe arioni pe uberi mutoka enini anita mong cha ukatiki mutoka nini unyon tien lulonyo ko dongba Anite ugayaro argangi kacha very why State House. Une argang panita. Maute ari ejon yako weng. Wega wachi wuni tie danuma gine. Hi Kim, thank you for sharing that. Tie danuma gine ma Museveni gi ukwanyu kwogi. Ikare ma ena kiloni prime ni prime no doi stage my iromi yeni okay andong ba da kwodong tima bed da kada bi medicare do abi medicare mo piendong paro mu che me doc chen tutwal anita mong kakenyu dong ti jo mu kene bene mo ento tek di odil tap mu 7 to chair go dugi ping mu 70 we got enoni makiloni genane makiloni peak inge peak ena ye keketi god money tieku ento we mala de da kamala malon kiloni peak Museveni ko na ne indo etika etika cher kuntu twale ka ena etika tia tijichie tek do etika de prime unyo peak kamoni ni kamano jamitima best part in Museveni's world in Uganda. People who have worked with Museveni and have gained and have reached some sort of peak or have reached a prime, I'm trying to say where somebody feels like, you know what, I've reached here. I don't think if I slip, I'll fall too hard, or I'll lose so much, or my family will go back to zero, or, you know, or if I stay here, I'm comfortable. I can take care of it from here. Or if I go up, it'll be well and good. If I don't, I'm okay right here. So Museveni has seen that when people have worked under him and have reached that stage whereby you take him for opening ceremony of your house, or you open your company, or you go and say, oh, President, look what I've done, including bringing the Rolls Royce. That was a place where Anita should have been humble about and maybe not reached. And I'm talking a few steps back. This is not the right place where she should have thought twice. But because she's here, she's in her prime, she's at her prime stage, the best ever. Muhozi came out and said, you know, I have never sat in a Rolls Royce in my 52 years. And I know for a fact that my father, who has been my father in 52 years, has never sat in a Rolls Royce. A Rolls Royce is a car for royalty. And it doesn't mean royalty of just the kingdom, of the United Kingdom. No. Rolls Royces are made in England. Yes. They used to be made for the royal family. But people like Steve Harvey's and, you know, the who's of the world now have a Rolls Royce. I get that because they can afford it. Those vehicles are made in limited editions and numbers. They're not like Toyotas, which are produced like, I don't know, 5 million every 3 months. No, Rolls Royces are made precisely to taste of those people who have earned that taste. Earning meaning you have worked for it, not corruption like Anita Mong. So she got the car and pissed off the people who gave her the opportunity. So it's time because Anita is now fat enough to be slaughtered. I was referencing in Acholi that a farmer of a pig does not take the pig to the market before it's fat enough. The goal of farming or pig farming is to have an animal worth some money. When you slaughter it, its weight is good enough to bring you best income possible. And Anita has arrived there. According to the Mohozis, Anita is already has already ingested poison. She refused to go out to North Korea or some part of the other world because she's trying to stay in and win the speakership against Norbert Mao. I don't know if there are other people at play yet, but if they are, there is such a thing. Okay? She refused to go out for treatment and invited doctors to come in because she has the money. Again, this is the money from those people who are pissed off. Okay? So after Magogo is taken away, all the corruption cases will be brought to life because they don't want her to speak of all the evils she has helped the Musevenis do. For herself, personally, some of things she has executed on her own. Most of it she has executed on orders. But this is the Chisanja. This is the time they need to clear evidence. He wants to pave way for his son Muhoozi to take charge. As foolish as he might be, Museveni thinks that maybe as he stands on one leg, he may succeed somehow. Like I said, these people are in a place where they either have to die in power or die in power. Because as soon as they are not in power, they know that even their chicken will not survive in Uganda. Their chicken will not live in Uganda. Everything Museveni will be erased permanently if they are no longer in the leadership. That is why Museveni came half a human being to Kololo to swear in on a position that he stole the election. The results were not pronounced. Everything about the swearing in was rogue. Everything was rogue. And everybody who came to witness, everybody's whispering, swi, 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 because they know the illegitimacy of the whole thing. President Tshisekedi of Felix of Congo. I mean, some of you have to see it to believe it. He was advised not to come because Museveni and Kagame are pissed off for him trying to get, for getting Kagame in trouble by the accord that was signed with President Trump of the United States. Because he did not honor it, President Kagame and a lot of his executives have been sanctioned. They can't travel. So because of that anger, and knowing that Museveni is Kagame, they're basically just one is a shadow of the other. He came anyway to Uganda for Museveni's swearing in. And so Museveni and Kagame swore that Tshisekedi will not leave the same way he came. But he was warned. We made sure he got the message, but he didn't listen. So in the next few whatever, you will hear of ailments of President Tshisekedi and this, that, and the other, because he had special treatment given to him by M23, the same soldiers who were pissed off by him expelling them from Congo. We can only do what we can do. Okay? I just do what I can. We do what we can. But I'm telling you, Ugandans, don't lose faith, don't lose hope, because you are best positioned. I will stress the fact that your camp of change, I use my right hand, because you are strong, you are powerful, you have time, you have lost everything. You are hungry for change. You are staring at a crumbling country. You can do this. You have no stain of blood on your hands. You're not guilty for stealing anything. In fact, you are right and righteous. You are in the best shape possible. Going on to this camp, they've stolen so much. They've committed so much crime. They are they are evidence in every sort of crime document that has been filed anywhere. Museveni Muhoozi does not miss on any human rights violations document that has been filed all over the world. They are in videos. I mean, we have information. We have so much against these people. The last thing they have is time. Museveni is half a human being now. When Museveni has to get out to be in public, he has vitamin shots like crazy. He's probably given shots of adrenaline just to keep him up on a string for a little bit. The reason why he walks with his daughter, or he takes his daughter to events and this and that, is because his daughter is the only one who can serve him food. His daughter is there because in case he falls, she can help rescue him. In case he falls. Look at the plans when Museveni has to go anywhere. They plan for diapers. They plan to change his catheter. They plan to make sure his hand's looking right. They plan to make sure he doesn't fall. They plan to make sure he has the shots of adrenaline or vaccines, whatever, to keep him powerful, strong. They have to plan on what he's going to say. He has to rehearse it like 500 times. They plan on what is he going to eat. They plan on his toilet following him. They plan on his meal, who is going to serve him, who is going to eat it. While this successful camp that wants change, you just get up and go. You walk free. Museveni cannot walk without that popcorn container. You are free. You get up and go. You are hungry. You want change. Okay? You want change. Somebody's calling me stupid woman. Oh boy. Anyway, I'm not even going to pay attention to that. But I'm saying, Atika Wachi, one job mamiro change Uganda. Watiki Jemmy Weng east side wa. Jemmy Weng tika wat mabe. Pian gimawa pe. Benekawa warpe waluo. Benekawa kawa mero money. Wacher wacham kira yuwa mero. Kay go kang Museveni ko ba aki gang hembe cher kamo ke ken. Di wo maru di kone. No kitujuki gene. No kitujuki yat wa bed ma gene. Ma koma yacht. No ki mier ki planning ni diaper do. Muze wacher wako. Mier ki ket diaper kenyo. Mier ki mi gene katera pian gina lai ki tube kunyoni. Mier ki ket katera kenyo. Mier ki planning ni anga mo bo pero. Deka bo beru deka anga mo bo gene bo mi dek. Koni ko poro kono anga mo bo cher ka jolo ni ko bo poro. Wane mo kono. Chimo ni mugome ugena ure yare ye utuju mabe kainen kong mask au ker wonu mask choka bit kenyu pian miere ki bo wango pian ka ki wa tuolu ko ni ka camera mago beri wai muze memo ka miere yo ki ganga ka kacha miere no wan ki bo go awai department man nero ni Museveni miere ka tikin down chok department piere beach ma miere ke powder wan we kon wan na bebe ma miere kon yob gina ye wan we ko beta bebe wane kong miere ke yup la kirmani kenyu. I mean, in ke go mero campa Museveni, mano Museveni bukafti kendano. Camp wama mero change ni. Bene nino ma gimama baru ipe, pian gimoni gidi pe. Kacha me wari warata. Museveni pero mo wad la boy container money ma en beri eni. In ke bi we ko ka SFC ya yobo mari ma ngeni no iti target. Kape I amiri kita iyo mero, icharo ka moy ken. Museveni penni yano kunyoni ya. Museveni kwa pidakira ma enti yeni. Kada ho ero tamu dakira muka nani wai man dakira chani atime nining. Kajo utema kuman kono. Atime nining. Museveni kwa pitin. Piengeni diri is not promised. Diri ni penye kono ngoma betime. Miero planning security jui. Miero lock security jui. Lock mati ene iye kunu bene kati jui. Kuneno? Museveni luoro one Uganda dong loyo gibon keken pien Museveni ngeni kachewa ti endong pe kachewa malo ti no endong pe pien keri tiene ni tien nuchu daro wono nge gera kelwoni nuchu ini ai kwalo gimo keri ganke wechi kwalo de ikero de dogi ingeni twini peramu pie wang ma dao katiwe twini peramu pie Museveni kwalo kwi twini peramu pie pien wa jomo binu kaneno swearing inani down when tika kwele ni down when kwelo kita jali tika nen kere it konke ken kai neno ni kai neno Museveni jo ma tika neno mo ai wa ya John mo ka piera borge we for me rongo tamti we down neno Museveni kitami wigi people are looking at Museveni with thoughts. Have you ever looked at somebody who you cannot say something to but your wheels are turning in your head, but that person knows that you know something but you're just not saying it? That is Museveni's predicament. Everybody who looks at him has questions, has wheels turning in their head. But this guy is bold as something. Bold as something. That just has to show you that when you have somebody like this at hand, you know how much they fear you. Museveni fears Ugandans. That is why anytime he travels, 30 kilometers back and forth is sealed off. Nobody travels. It's the power of Ugandans. But most of all, the people working for Museveni must come out and do the right thing. Because like Anita Among, it is coming. It is coming. I have so much respect for certain people. I have. But when the time comes for these people to do dangerous things, they will. Honorable Mao, I have so much respect for you. But you are getting in the pockets of. I mean no disrespect, and I'll stop there. You know what I mean. We all know their future. The ones working for Museveni. Anita Among's steps could have been told by anyone who has known Museveni for a while. For a while. But we just, you know when you say something so much that you just let it be? And to be so short-sighted that these people go into these things knowing what happened to that person before. They know. I use the father of my children a lot because I knew him and I respect him, and it's not because I disrespect him that I speak. He's an example because I knew him and I have so much respect, and I hope other people learn. Lokech, for example, he was rising up the ranks. He said something about being president. Museveni was like, what did you say? In a moment, he was gone. What type of ambition do you have that has a ceiling? How can you be in a place where you're not allowed to raise the ranks? Because Anita once mentioned, in fact, the fear of Museveni and Muhoozi is that Anita Among and her husband are preparing to become the next president and whatever of Uganda. As lousy as that sounds, that is the fear Museveni has. That is how much Museveni fears Ugandans. That he even has dreams, hallucinations that make him actually take action, like killing Anita Among and her husband. Hallucinations. I don't see Magogo being a president of Uganda. I don't see Anita Among being a president of Uganda because we will never choose Anita Among. But Museveni fears that. I don't know how. Uganda will never choose Anita Among for president. Even if Anita Among was the only qualified, let's say, even if Anita Among was the only one running against other Ugandans, Anita Among cannot win presidency. But to show you how Museveni is afraid, Museveni fears that the status of Anita Among could make her a president of Uganda and make his son lose his place before his eyes as president. You can imagine. That is how much these people fear us. Museveni luo adeda makomberi chani luo ne ma wa meti nek and gina chwa Anita Among wa kera Anita Among gine kama dingi pienta moni Anita Among kita dong tika dong kere kwone awaju lonyo kingongo gini Anita Among buak bed president oko ineno makuna Anita Among pebi loyo ku Uganda Uganda long kari Anita Among uchung en ki Ugandan mukene Anita Among pebi loyo ku meberu president Uganda ento eni nyuru kita luor mati diwi Museveni jocha luor wa makonye pe jocha luor wa majo wa mati monyi koneno romular wa kijami mogo we jocha luor wa en wa Museveni ko bichero kamoke keni no kilor yo kilometer ye piera dek nyo piera beach no kilor yo ko bier ngati moy ken po o choke jo pa Museveni ki Museveni kunyo ni kari nyara tika wodo kilor yo ko meno luoro. That is how much they fear us. Museveni ki tame ki diwe otamo ni Anita pien nenchale ni beda poya ba luo ni Anita romu beru president kita do Anita ulon kere kunyoni romu kwa lugi na ko romu kwa nyuko mo ko ki bod wode inke go ma Anita Among pe romu lon kui ka ke ker kui me adani Anita Among pe loy kui ana romu chung against Anita Among pe loy kui Uganda pe bal motimo kui ba Anita Among la ni cha anyaga mau etani chung opposition against Anita Among anyaga ni pinga peki mako Anita Among ukati unopposed ibukedia pingo pien ngatu mani mukene mano boloy kwini kitu kikwanyo kitorle bwa ikara manyaga ni kati dong dugu kama leng pien ki kwalo ko kita ki kwalo kere ki kere drone ki ter dane ba ki kwanyo kumenu ki ter nyago ni ki logoy wiye ki goyo ki temni ning ikara manyaga ni dugu ka lok madong wa yenya deda anyaga ni wachi ana bwa ku iki antina Anita Among wata abi wa ku ire ineno wan wangeni Anita Among pero mokato ku me beru president ento Museveni ngeni twarutime mero kita joni luoru wa kwede Ugandans ayumalo umeki wakilu meki mautimon au konywa do utimu kimo alore kom loka Anita Among matera deda PM Anita Among ena representation pa Uganda kupeti chawa ni dame anywali me Uganda ti position pa Anita Among do arubu beri position weng man Anita Among ti ye ti dama ti buj la boybal jo mi opposition pien nigu agu wachi ana miru ngata pe Museveni mono rom ter gi buch lutien maki ma ogi ma to duan ta pien gu wachi gi miru Bobby Wine mono rom gi to Anita Among beri chani dongi wachi mier kinek chwara koni konene man la dit lobo me Uganda ma anywali me Uganda da genene in pero mtemone in kan garmo no balitere court that's it mier pay good kom ngati pay ticket where me good to ngati mo ilobo mati advance ka nini ngati mo eken mo nya ka ogura mapaye court ya igura pingo ina ye wachi bine ngati mo ma wacha keri twala message mo wacha binere message yani romo ngati chani atwaya ilobo mati anyimwe in Western world kan in the Western world nobody has a right to tell you that it is time for you to be killed. No. In fact, if somebody sent me a text message with a threat saying I'm going to kill you, that's enough to get them in jail. Attempted murder. That's it. These Museveni people and cronies, they think they can do anything to everyone. No. Somebody attempts that to me, sends me a message, I take that to the police, they are going to jail. Period. Nobody can touch me just because they want to. No, you touch me at your own risk. Because you're going to jail. I will sue, and that's it. Once I take you to the police, before they say you did it or not, you will be held at least for 24 hours. It's the law. It's the law. So the representation of Anita Among speaking to Muhoozi at the swearing-in ceremony depicts exactly where Uganda is, where Anita Among represents Ugandans and Muhoozi represents the refugee camp at State House. And all that they do, everything they stand for is in that man. Standing and not even worth, Anita is not worth Muhoozi's eyes while he talks to her or she talks to him. That is where Uganda is. Killing of Magogo symbolizes killing Ugandans. So it is up to Uganda to do something. I spent a lot of time on that. But let's get to the next things. So I told you about what they said about, what Museveni said about no sleep and no more corruption. No more corruption, referencing Anita Among and other people. All those people working for Museveni, Museveni has something on them, including religious leaders. As I mentioned a few weeks ago, religious leaders who become the who's in religion in Uganda they start in Luwero, because in Luwero is where Museveni grooms the next leaders of the religious sect. I'm talking mostly about the Protestant church, the Kazimba Mugalus type people. Okay, the saved groups and all that, those denominations, because obviously for the Catholic Church it's different. It doesn't come from everywhere. So what happens in Luwero to those religious leaders upcoming, Museveni is raising into positions. What Museveni does is he gets them entangled with young ladies in some hotel or bar or something in Luwero. And those ladies are staged by the Musevenis. Those ladies are on a mission to go and do those things, recording videos, and those videos are shared with the Musevenis. That is why they can never come out and speak the truth. You have never heard religious leaders going to visit the people in prison. The National Unity Platform people in prison have never been visited by the religious people. They're always on Museveni's string being yanked like this. So I say that to say that Museveni, all the people he's working with who are Ugandan, Museveni has something dirty on them. Something. Even the ones who are not in the religious sects. Some of them have had people dead and thrown in their courtyards. Some of them have been caught in some major crime. Some of them have actually killed people. Somebody like Chameleon, he's an artist. That one helps the explanation because he's far out there. He's not a civil servant or anything. Museveni has a history that Chameleon killed a person. Anytime Museveni wants Chameleon to do something, he says, do you remember that case? I still have it. Do you want me to wake it up? And then he gets Chameleon to do exactly what he is. That is why sometimes when you see these people talking, they sound empty. They're not speaking from their soul. They're hollow. They're just saying things. This person knows I'm live. I don't know why he's calling me. You know, so I feel sad for those who are still climbing that ladder because Museveni will kick it. Like he's kicking Anita Among now. That ladder will get kicked. Eventually you'll fall. Atika wachi, jo ma Museveni ti yukwet gini. Peti ngati moke ken ma peki lok ma chilu ma Museveni ti kere kome. Museveni pero promoting dano ma en peki lok ma chilu kome. Chalo lulega Anglican Church ma don doni. Ka Museveni ubu kero ngatu mani position me beru la dit churches mogoni. Kong weko ko timu gimok ma raj kong time komi. Chalo cho ma beru Anglican Church ludire me Anglican Church kunyoni. Tie kamoni magi chako kere grooming yen ki chako ponyu gi me beru position ene ilwero kacha awinyi kunu beru baba na tie so geno Museveni temo or mon ma ro kala kero mani kenyu enjo slay queen gi chero gi ti Anglican ludira cha ma tek no ke ma videos ene gi ter bon Museveni en we ko nyoni peti ngarmo matika aki Anglican Church ma beter lo da dan sala bujingo da cho ma security pa bujingo utoy ting bujingo ma ke wai bujingo yo chero video ani tibon Museveni man bujingo pero mo tietu lok paruba ma pero ateki lok pa Museveni pero mo bedong lo kacha tane ken pien video tie kacha tie down mago ba kino Museveni ne odano kamani ukelo bolu liali dikal Ka police ubino no, ka kichoy ping ni, liel ki no igang pangari, manyuti, ka ichira da, ngate ni miyarobed ngo, me imabuch. Ento, bien, Museveni, why, okay, bien kan, amito wati kachel, we a case enini, a kero betchen. Kare mo ke ken mangato yani dong mero wachi, ando pa mero tichi eni ba, ando pa mero, Museveni wachi, idegi na wachi ni we. Akel gin chane, iponi down weng beda wea. Ti lok mo ma down waju ma kati ma logo maine na dani ngate ni nanchalo poba. Ada ngate tika wati loka kuman. Ngate ni ada dai ni. Pien ki wiye kacha wachi da to, ka wai padati me kumanchi ato. Tie jo mo ma Museveni wachi abineri, pasta kakande no ma beru kampala kenyini. Pasta kakande unu winye. Pasta kakande ugu wapinyi Museveni kichoe, ma Museveni ka mudori wiye kumai. Pasta kakande. O mula kichoe gene dagone State House. Museveni pa yachts. Petie la tela mo ke kanu nyongari mo Museveni ti yuke matek. Ma peti bal mo Museveni umare iye. Pati file i office pa Museveni. Mati ye kuman. Majui wachi ko inen kong. Wipo. Control the message why inen gini wipo. He sends the messages. When he tells these Christian people to do something and they refuse. Pastor Kayanja was brought to his knees in State House with his wife. When they refuse to do something for Museveni, people get tired. How much evil can you do? As soon as somebody says, you know what, I'm done, please let me go. Museveni says, do you remember this? Do you want me to relinquish this? And when that is your livelihood, imagine a pastor whose videos or nudes will get released. Can you picture that? What else does he have to live for after that? None. So anyways, everybody who is working for Museveni has something on you and it will come out. The longer you stay working for him, remember that at any one time, it will be up to him to eliminate you. So you can cut this short, take the embarrassment and do the right thing, or continue working with him and he will kill you at your prime. Your prime, not his. It's up to you. Keep working for Museveni. We'll bury some more people. Okay? All right. About the Chisanja, the next thing they want to do is make Rwandese a language taught openly in Uganda. They want to make Chinyarwanda a language of Uganda. They want it to be taught in schools, at churches, spoken on radio and on TV. They are also going to heavily promote their cultures. The Rwandese culture is going to be openly promoted now in Uganda without any worry, without any shame. This is the term they want to do it. Rwandese services in church will now be allocated a separate time, where sometimes they will cancel the English service and only have the Rwandese service, so that if you want spiritual anything, you must attend the Rwandese and somehow people will get to learn it. That's what they hope. Anybody who refuses to entertain this Rwandese manyanga will be dealt with. Anybody. But like I said, all of these religious leaders have already been compromised by Slay Queen nude videos, or somebody dying, or somebody they killed, or somebody placed in their yard. Okay? Main services, songs and praises are now going to be in Chinyarwanda. In churches, main services will be in Chinyarwanda. The songs and praises will also be in Chinyarwanda. On events like introduction ceremonies and such things, they will promote the Chinyarwanda language, their culture, their attire. People just start to wear these things just like that. I used to have, no, I did not. It was a Mshanana. I think a Mshanana is from Western Uganda. It's an Ankole tradition. I love the Ankole culture. I do. Absolutely adore it. And we were meant to be like this, that you can choose to love any language, tribe, whatever. I grew up in a neighborhood where I had neighbors from all parts of Uganda. All parts of Uganda. I moved on so many different places. I went to boarding school. I had friends, dormitory mates or whatever, from all different tribes. Uganda is beautiful, and we were meant to love each other and maybe learn even all the languages there is and dress up anyhow. There should be no limitation to say this is only for this part of Uganda and the other one's only for the other part and the other for the other. No. One Uganda long no mierwa bet kachel. La boya pora pora. La boya pora pora. Mga chijanko le berukuman. Baganda berukuman. Actually mir berukuman. Lugwara mir berukuman. No. One way mir no bet kachel. Apora pora bino kibot Museveni gi. Pienjo ma anaporo kingi no ni tiche. Oh, Zuleika, thank you. So the Mushanana is an Ankole attire. I'm going to pick up one. Maybe next time I'll come in one of them. I love those gowns. I love them. But anyways, Atika Wachi, let me translate before I forget where I'm going with this. Atika Wachi kuberichawa ni gen madong gitika planning. Gu Wachi lep Rwanda and lep tuol gine. Dongi mete gi fonyo Uganda ko weng gankwan kama do tiena kwana ye don ki fonyu le ki ker le Rwanda be na beru way le Uganda ma yanki fonyu gankwane church be don lega bo beru service man bo beru ki le Rwandese I radio be don kunyoni ki bi logo le Rwandese radio atie don ba joni do ka te ko me beru do bera ye ki berte mo jemi don la bon ya kala kala I TV ki bi beru ki kanyuto program ki le Rwanda mogo program pa Rwandese Rook ki cham ki beru chalo ki we ki ngongo gini don wen ki bi intro ki bi kelo ko I church I odlega mogo be beru kone gankwani ki bi beru ki ngo jemi mat le Rwanda unyo rook pa Rwanda unyo kwa ki Rwandese kwa kede do ki bi kelo ko tie gankwan lutin wu char gankwan dugu ki leptwol no don ngi lokone lega madon Uganda services and why service me cha ngwen pon de dani ko di service na ye ki bi ker ye le Rwanda ka pe mier char chani ni chikwore kay mier char kalega wangari chere lego ki leptwol gini neno keri nyang keri pe nyang don ki bi beru ki megini we bu beru le Rwanda lega mu kana beru le Rwanda I gene I party mo bu beru why party me gene me nyom gini ki bi beru ka temo mo ki le Rwanda don ki bi beru ka chat bongi me nyom ki bongi pa Rwandese bu beru po le de dai kin ping pian ki mete dongo dan ngiyo ko ki lok me Rwanda ki le Rwanda ki kwa pa Rwanda ni we go bed Rwandese ki pian ki tam ki mete Uganda be chalu district pa Rwanda neno ki mete Uganda be district magina yeno be ki telo ni pe wana e watelo we wan wo woti to gien gi woti nywal gi woti nyeme Uganda neno TV and my programs mo mo na TV chal news ki ngongo gini don wen ki mete ki lok mod do dok pe le Rwanda ke ken pingo ki timu kumeno ki mete to ki wi psychology. They want to mess with the psychology of Ugandans that, you know, when you see something very often, you get used to it. You see it, your mind, your subconscious mind, your brain takes it in, you get comfortable. You feel like, oh, this is normal. You know, when you rise to a new normal, like a big change happens in your life, you know, you lose somebody loses a spouse. You tend to just get used to the single life again, or whatever the case might be. You know, you have a child, you get used to having a child. You have 2 kids, you get used to having 2 kids. In your mind, it settles in and says, you know what, this is normal and it's okay. I'm going to continue living this way. So, give me a get took the way down Uganda. Where ungi look, maybe Rwandese, kono leb Rwanda, kono roge, kono we down ngiyo okay, keep it dong mot. Maka inano dong pedong pede tamani gimoti ati me Uganda. Ento no ki wati ne ko down mati Ugandans. Gin wati nyal gi wati mete Uganda. Pien ki tam gi mete Uganda be district pa Rwanda. Ento no gina yeloyo. One Uganda miro bed pere. Uneno. Middle psychology. Media center, the media center of Uganda has gotten a lot of money and contract to prioritize these Rwandese emulsions. And make Jimmy pa Rwanda ni kimi contract ma did but media center me Uganda. Mono grouping gidong bane radio magulu ni Kilwani. There's a big radio station in Gulu. Dennis, if you could remind me. You know, those things, those places are going to be hold on just a minute, please. Okay. All right. I was checking something. I'm also working somehow remotely. So they want to mess with the psychology of Ugandans so that we get used to it. Give me a tea. Oh, wonder. Zuleika, that's wonderful. That's a good one. I'll use it next time. They give me a tea. We don't need okay. Nano give money. Chao weng modo we unyo ka kwoni ula kala kira money chalo jo ka kira jo ma puru bunwa la ten me achel kai tiki la ten we la kira money ngiyo go kiberu mego unyo wego ingiyo kere gimoni ko kati manyen kwa mani ko kati manyen kai nano uri modo we mai ngiyo kere wachi ngeba mane ne don kwa manyen don meta kere yela mo kan pe eno no gimeta kine kudano kigen nyal me kwanyo lobo Uganda kibi wego gine ani beru. It's going to be compulsory that those events about Rwandese emulsions will have to happen. Anybody that disobeys will get eliminated, as always. Okay. The next, I have a few more to go. I know it's been long. Sorry about that. Hold on 1 second, please. All right, sorry about that. Moving on. The next thing they plan to do is to destroy the ghetto. Most of the destruction that is going on in the different parts of Uganda, their main focus is Buganda. They want to try to eliminate the youth. The youth is their main. In the speech that Museveni said at Kololo during the swearing in, where he referenced having talking to Bazukulu. No, we're not Museveni's Bazukulu. In fact, we don't care for him. But he said something like to the reference of the Bazukulu are making the wrong choices or decisions and keep hitting their heads. And he says that he's going to deal with them. Don't take that lightly, because he means it. Atika wachi Museveni wachi plan gitieni geto mati Kampala ni ine an kera ketor kere orini ketor mere orimu kene we obed mere gene we obed mere chalo gina. Hold on just a minute, please. Hello? Hey. I'm not at Kino, but I'm on a live video. Yeah. 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 Can you take her? I can be there at 1 o'clock, but can you take her to, I think the event starts later. But ask her and let me know. Oh. Yeah, I'll need you to bring her to town. Okay. Yeah, I think you have time. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Bye. Boy, am I busy. It just started, but that's okay. Anyways, so just like they did to, I grew up in Nakawa, so I know this firsthand. There was a time when there was a plan all of a sudden that was drawn by the government, Museveni and their people. Amama Mbabazi, I think, was one of them, where they said that they promised all of us who are residents in Nakawa. Hello, Don. They came out and said, we want to rebuild Nakawa flats and Nakawa area. So we want everybody to, write down their information and, let us know where they're going so that we can plan. Once we rebuild Nakawa, we will bring you guys back into the properties that we're going to build in Nakawa. They built a fence around Nakawa. Until today, it's a bush. There's nothing has happened with Nakawa. It is just the same. The same thing they did they put a fence in Katanga, Chimombasa, Nachivubo. They did that in Chiseka. They did that in Zambia. And they did that in Naguru. The reason they do things like that is because they want to get the youth out of the city. Eventually, their bigwigs from Rwanda are going to come in and take up space in those places. The goal of breaking houses, because they don't want to just break one. In fact, Katikiro wants to destroy and take over Busawala Beach of His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. That Katikiro is involved. You remember there was a saga one time about that land in the Kabaka, and it was resolved and there was no issue because, the president is Kabaka's son. Eventually, now that things are rolling in their way, Katikiro has been given the assignment to make sure Busabala is destroyed completely. Now, just so that it doesn't look like they're only focusing on Bobby Wine's home, they are going to break every other person surrounding Busabala to try to look legit. To make this look like it's a normal thing, it would happen to anyone. It doesn't matter if it's Bobby Wine. They want to take charge of Busabala and plow it down. Everything that His Excellency and Mrs. Barbara Kyagulanyi put together is going to be destroyed at Busabala. And we don't know yet, but they want to take over that land. So in the ghetto areas, because Museveni wants to deal with the youth, like he said, he's going to shove them out of the city and get those places fenced off and growing weeds for no reason. They're not going to be used. They're not going to be rebuilt. They're just going to be fenced off and they will grow weeds like Chiseka. Those places were never redeveloped. Nakawa was never touched. But soon, after they have a big plan, a good plan of what they're going to do, you will see their people coming in to occupy those spaces. Okay. I did talk about Anite already. So what they want to do with Anite, because they don't want her to speak or talk, they're going to kill Magogo. They're going to talk to her about the sanctions. She's likely to go to Luzira where Nandutu is, because Nandutu is on a case where Anita Mong was also. Okay. She has also tested positive for poison. So that's Anite Among. The next thing is, because they hate the fact that we are talking about Janet's demise a lot. So they're putting up a lot of diversions to see that, I forgot to mention this. kileba choli na ti wachi wunjo ma oberi ya choli kwata uberi tung na kawa kacha acholi ma pol beri tung kunu wunu wi upo kita digamento bino kere wachi wunu a ki gan inini we kwa go ge o wen chi wa yup ori banyen we dugu beri ye ento wi upo ni watin wadire ki kero mer fence kunu luma yete ka don kunu we gimo ke ken magamento timu pi area men na kawa tung na gur go down gini gimo I can pay chiman kuberi chani gimi te gitim jami enini I area mukene chalo Katanga, Nachivubo, Chimombasa, Kiseka, Nsambia, Nakawa, Kamukene Nakawa, Kinaguru, Gimete Gimete Kiriam Mudano Roki Kampala. Gina Gimiro Eno, Gimete Giriam Camp, Dano Roki Kampala, where Kampala don't know Igi. In that way, Jami Makuman, Kauchaki Kampala, Wun Kijamuka, Kikamukana, Quara, Piano. Oh. When these things begin to happen in Kampala, the rest of you in the outskirts or in different districts, just hang tight, it's coming. They are planning to spread like they did with the Balalo, now infiltrating all over the rural areas of Uganda, like in northern Uganda. The Balalo are everywhere, okay? So, Gineani, gubi meta kiti mune kitoro, ori padano, ori mugumati tengyo, kibitoro, pian gimiati wunu doko kay charo. Uchiberi charo, mirngoy town. Town weng ori matie makiti tornani, iponi kitole pap, ngatanyan biro kero jamine kenyu manyu de kitika ke Rwandese kitika mini gika beru e kamano young Ugandans tie pien gimere gina e law city gina e law ma ena ke dir wucherne ki wote ne ko dano joma wi gitek e poni gipe dano mo ma do to pien gikwer ni kitu origi Kampala kacha duata iponi pocho uponi ke wai no charity udene ko dano mo cho di ko mo charity chao dene ni ma ku no pe ko mo peni ti mo ni Kampala kacha kitu orote kinoti wi yatika gene uta dong I chao dene ni nkuni I mar chai iruka maleng I wachi wa ka chera chilegi ka chera gene ni a chera chimedikiti dan mano iner ni ayela mo about mo ken mo beru kere bene pe chao dene ni no chaka ni Johnny kwanyu dano ki ka mo ken ki chera ki deyo we dano nge ni dano ka ti pero we po wi jo mo ken ni kai te matata chibi ye inano so gidek bene ni we meta ki lokki janet man gitika kelo diversion mapola deda down chalo bujingo obokelu gena money kere kenyu conference money ko lolo kenyu we ngo we down bet ka lok ko da lok conference ni ko nga bo bir ko ngo ini ne ro kita lok mo ma chil ma konye pe ti ko ber mere radio ko radio mega gi ko ko lok ma pe down lo lok ma pe tiu gin en gi jame ani gi temu no gi ngeyo pien wun Uganda ka wi wucha ko tiji wa ko tiji da ko te ko ni ko cha pe ni wi ni pinga ti tor marka ti tor gena ori badano ti wi wucha ko tiji ti tor gamenta gi ko gi mi to bet ma wi u petiu ma po bi nyam lok ma po bi tambe po bi questioning gi mo ke nam 7 waju very way gospel do yeah way oh okay la dit lo do waju mor miu po ye gi mo ke na John waju au pen wi wu au nyam lok au pen ye ke kenu adamo gi ni mono ko go ko tem ko po ko kamone upo ki kamukene pingol don lo pe kin ching jo manually me Uganda why mon gacha lu mon mati Uganda manually me Uganda but what you again ki ma ki dak maraj ba in la mon Uganda iberi uniport ma burano o lenge kumai ento ka kelo SFC la mon manyen ma aki Rwanda awobi mo me mo apara bungwan no at ma en buru ye ma na yang pe now jami me at no ki me no wen initi at ma chweli touch we wupatio Ugandans yabu nguba gine ni tika wenka waji mon ini go kama ini ti ye boss mo binu manyen boss yani timu jami wen boss yani da ini chera ka yanyu loki bare ku no ini boss tika temeka wen I jami wen pay mon keken Johnny do binu wa me daya gu binu wa makape wa lwen matekwe lutela wa bo mede kito kari food one yi wa yom da ko mani konyo tangalo kono tengelo something like that tika wachi omiere wana chuli waneni wanen kitek weng work speakership kimi ching actually okay aye fine okay kete kimi ching actually di ma wunu ne ma reposition enu ne. There was a lady who's called Otangalo from northern Uganda. She speaks Acholi. There was a video that somebody shared with me where she's highly recommending that two more big positions be given to Acholi people. But like I told you, a farmer who has pigs can only slaughter them when they're fat because that's when they gain the most. I'm telling you, you are begging for a position now. In a few years, we'll be burying. What is the point? Utika like position kuberishawani. Inge mari adek no wati liel, wati koko. Konye ngo, cycle ni bang po betuche. O miara wati beru kingari money a bill, utawa wa wati koko. One for a romo you payment ni kadong gamento loke wa romo beru ki dana Piera Beach, ma bigi tego. Wa mira chera rio, mon romo wa kiyo. I'm saying that even if they actually are hungry for somebody in high positions, you know, speakership or whatever, what is the difference? Because in the next 3 years, we may be burying that person. The next 3, 4, 5 years, we may be burying that person. What is the point of enjoying now and crying soon after? Why don't we just make a change so that we have 50 plus representatives in high places where we can live freely and enjoy and not worry about a burial ceremony soon after? Doesn't that make sense? Pekong wa wati wan wa miti wa ka jamu lake wa lok jami we kal tela tie tela bed no pi ngatu money kero pa ngatu money ni ngat eni twero ginini u cheriye u bed ki down Piera Beach mano better yik pay plan man yim man yik to better plan future pa Ugandans when everybody in Uganda has a future, a barrier in their near future. Why? As soon as somebody rises up the ranks, they're gone. Why don't we have wealthy people living to 90 years like Museveni? Have you seen any wealthy person living to 90? Talk less of political positions where it's a few years. We need change. Let's change our minds, change how we do things, achieve new results. Walok tamwa, walok teachwa, wanan result manyan. Yek pe don't go very future wa. Anyi mo po bet ke yek. Man ngar man chair don office. Pingo pe ti la lonyo mo mati mo Piera bongwen in Uganda. Pingo pe ti la tela mo mati mo Piera bongwen wako Moses Ali. Why don't we have the Olanyas living for 90 years, wealthy, seen their life, done well, do something for their community, but all a successful life is cut short. Even if a child wants to move the thing forward, it is impossible. Because as soon as Anita gets in this trouble, even the Rolls Royce is going to be taken by Museveni. That Rolls Royce of hers. Even the house she built in Bukedia, all of a sudden there's going to be a loan that she didn't pay. Blah, blah, blah. Anita Among will walk with slippers in the city of Kampala. If she walks, if she lives. There is not a wealthy Ugandan who has lived long. There is not a prominent, powerful Ugandan who has lived long. Petie la lonyo mo Uganda, mo beri lonyo neni, uri kwa. Petie la tela mo Uganda, mo tela ma be, ma kwane, uri. None. Weng to ma bere peke niyang tere. Anyway, next thing. Okay, lastly, I'll talk about something else, but I want to highlight on a video that Museveni showed during the swearing-in ceremony. It was a video of a young man who is a farmer, a dairy farmer. His name is Kanyesige, of a dairy farm in Western Uganda. That Kanyesige, this is to show you that these people promote themselves. They live for themselves. They care for each other and not us out here. We could die for all we care. They're not going to care about how we do. In fact, at the time the Musevenis came, the first few years, when Ugandans were still here doing things, people were doing much better than they are now. In my village, my father had a grinding machine for flour and seeds for the villagers. My own dad, in 1990s, 80s plus, he had a grinding machine in Laguri, in where I come from. Today, if you are to look for a grinding machine, you may have to go to the next city just to grind flour to be able to have something to cook at home in the village. That goes to show that it is 2026 and Museveni is promoting chicken rearing as one of the successful projects in Uganda. I mean, where did we go from manufacturing things like sugar? We used to have sugarcane plants or sugar plants. We used to have soap factories. We used to have plastics. We used to have all these things. We don't have them anymore. Our president is praising chicken farming publicly, live on national television, when Kenya is doing AI and promoting all those things. In Uganda, the president comes out and talks about chicken farming. Museveni has walked Uganda back several steps. Atika wachi, video money Museveni ukateke igene swearing in kacha kololo kacha. Kuntika fuano, logwak bueno ki logwak diay diary. Inge gima loke chaka dida. Inke go, imwaka eni alibario ki pure bicheli. Lobo muke anatika lokom cherry igene ipol. Muke anatika lokom cherry ilobo mapat. Mukene tika loko computer mate adida AI anado katini. I Uganda watika war joma gwako gweni. Watika war business magwako gweni ntaruge na dong loyo. Neno. Mayang and Babana mayang food kwa in 1990 gimani no tiki chuma rego ila guri kacha. Chuma rego. Madano bien rego me mako kingongo gini. Me achama ikin gang. Man kuberichani kay mer chuma rego maila di. Mir kacha kong tu kid gum kacha ko gulu ko kwana. Kareku bakuli megene bel me achama. Kego Museveni odwaro lobo Uganda chien makonye pe kai pora imwaga ali bachel kipier bongwane wiye dano Uganda no tie mabe loyo komberichawani adako. It is true. Uganda has been taken back further than the 1980s, further back. I mean otimutijma don Uganda embassy and orima kilwani embassy mober oripa Uganda mano gene ambassador maki chwalo ki Uganda chero chiberieni amino wilo ori kichene ma wilo ko gamlon I the city ma don lobo I Paris I United Kingdom I America kan Uganda house tie the city ma mina yo wilo ba ko berchani Museveni charo ori ene oli wen charo joma no charo borgini jone ana wachi wini Museveni obiano wala bon pajama wala bon la te bon ko berichani Museveni dong ti wonje me wengi wachi my oil jam me weng mat no ti Uganda gukwanyu weng diai pajama no ti northern Uganda ko eastern ko berichani diai dong ti bodgi no chakani ning down mo biano wala bon wa kwani diai ne no ikwe itike diai million adini ino kikwene Wunjo actually ma otobe ni kono kibi mini compensation ko quality la ko diang da mini compensation. It's not going to happen. I'm saying that Museveni has taken us back several years. This is a guy who came without underwear. He came without shoes on his feet. If you see a picture of Kagame when he was languishing in Uganda as a refugee, the guy didn't even brush his teeth for years. These are the people who now have millions of cattle. And actually people are saying we are waiting for our compensation for cattle. It's not going to happen. Because guess what? The same thief took your cattle. He's not going to refund it. This 5 million you talk about, do something else and try to grow yourself somehow. Petiye diaimo keken mo bodugi actually. We lo utem genu kene pian la ko diang. Maya obian wala boy. La teba ko bedichan take diai million. Chakaning. Ugandans wate. We are strong, you guys. We are strong. We have it. We have time. We are brilliant. Our president still has a few cards left. Museveni is on pick play. Pick play. He's guessing where life goes next. Museveni doesn't know the next minute. Museveni doesn't sleep at night. Museveni is in a predicament that he knows. Museveni knows time is up. But because it is a matter of life and death, he has to make such moves. Because Museveni cannot leave this thing alive. He must leave dead. Nature will take Museveni. He cannot survive. And he knows it very well that his son cannot handle this. If Museveni's son could have handled it, he would have been the one swearing in that day. He can't handle. The guy is half a human being. You can tell Muhoozi is less a human being. Just the walking around. He's just, CDF, he can't handle his legs. The guy doesn't have the stature of a leader. He doesn't have the command of a soldier. He's walking around like, you have seen a soldier, okay? My father was a soldier. Respectable. I've seen soldiers out here. Even a young soldier has a stature that they stand and walk and they command the place. Not that guy. No. We've got this. Watiki tuero padano, Johnny waromo alogeo, we can do it. Johnny karadong pe, Johnny ngeni, miera guberike, unyo gutoy doge, wang magutopian Museveni ngeni teriyaki keli pap, wagwano ne po bikuwa Uganda. Wagwano ne pe kwa Uganda ya. Wabompa Museveni kibichwenyo kwa kibe wao. Jomati nyang ankole kacha kiti kwa na kwa. Gimoy ke wa state house ni kibe wonu ne Nepal. Ikarma gamente loka Nepal kichar kichwenyo state house pate Nepal loko. Kichwenyo kwa match. You saw the changes in Nepal. The Prime Minister of Nepal went without grabbing a shirt. The guy was in a sleeveless undershirt. That is how these guys will go. They don't have power. And the Nepal guy was not as old as Museveni. Now imagine this old one. We can manage him. We still have some cards. What were Johnny? Giluor wadong loyo. Inke go Museveni pero amu worikindano. Luoru watibune. Luo wa yangane. Museveni pero amu neno. Museveni kwa pichawa enini. Penge yu kira chama nyane buberu kere. Jemi wengma Museveni timo kit plan. Ununge yu kira ginene olu kere dano. Ini ya iberu busy ma Jemi weng miere tik beru ka planning anyima. Museveni planning wa yamu muke anama miere gam. Ni ahom mano. Ahom. Ka ahom beru ni. Ka ahom beru ket kono. Ka ahom ganu mano timagi mo kono. Ka ahom chia ta kono. Ka ahom chia por. Just omo yamu. Niero taking decision iwachi tika door parliament. Omo yama oma enini. Di woki di cheng no Museveni tika fainting. No poro olitai ki laro ki yamu. Oxygen. Bueno nero katan no ki tuja madaba. No ki tuja ke adrenaline yat ma duwa da. We open ma gubutie. Jali don't pay ya. Anyway, let's go to the next thing. So that video of a dairy farmer. Tila ngaruma ni mama Museveni gunyuro video ne nila gwak diyan. Tika temu dairy farmer tungangi kacha igena I Western. That dairy farmer who was presented by Museveni is called Kanyesije. The one who was presented on the video on the swearing-in ceremony. The name of the guy who owns the dairy is called Kanyesige. The Kanyesige is the son of a former Kanyesige who passed away now. Okay? His mother, the mother of this Kanyesige who is on Museveni's video, who Museveni is praising for doing well in a dairy farm, his mother is a member of parliament of Mubende. Her name is Jovia Kanyesige. This is how these people do things. When you watch and see how they display these events, you can think that it's normal, that they're praising some Ugandans for success. But these are the people who raided northern Uganda and eastern of cattle and now are parading as the executive farmers. This dairy farmer guy. Get this. Kanyesige, the owner of the farm, calls Janet auntie. Kanyesige, who Museveni praised for having a successful dairy farm, whose father was called Kanyesige, who was part of the people who stole from the cattle from the east, from northern Uganda and eastern, is the guy they're praising now, who calls Janet auntie. Kanyesige is Janet's nephew. When the late Kanyesige, the older one, died, Janet attended the funeral personally because that was one of her brothers in the clan. When he died, okay, the siblings of this Kanyesige person are one of them is a DPC, another one works for the URA, the Revenue Authority. Okay, they are all attached to Janet. We got information on all of them. Why doesn't Museveni choose somebody who has successfully used the PDM that they parade around as a success story for him to present at a ceremony like that? Atika teto lokom ngat moni ma Museveni ukarigene video money making your nila chow money don't farm me dia don't dira dani don't bear to twale unungeni like ngata yani la 10 wata Museveni gi wakati tu jale yani nye Kanyesige ko era yerwe dairy money ni ma Museveni gunyoro ni Kanyesige yani oberu water la chow mama yanki luoni Kanyesige mala chow yani oberu enjo pa Museveni gi adonyi mago bingu kwalo kere dia ni ko beri chani dia mago tia waka kere ni kon farm pa jale don't bear to twale dia ni waki kwane bot waka cha dia make kwalo men la chowa makiluoni Kanyesige ma won family oberu MP mubende kacha ma beru MP yani opposition ki ma okitweyo go we opposition po betie dawo yani ukaro ku unopposed imubende nye Jovia Kanyesige ti parliament kubirishawane Jovia enuni okay Kanyesige en la chowa money won family oberu wata Janet luo Janet ni auntie bundo neno Johnny we Wunu neno kita Johnny tiyu kwere we. Pingo Museveni ki po kwanyu ngatu mo ma tiyu ki PDM. Madong ulonya deda ki PDM gini. Piangi wai PDM were project pagamento eme konyu dano ko. Pingo jome PDM. Pegi kati. Pegi beru lulonyo. Pegi beru successful. Pingo en wori gini ya ye gen dao bukelu men yutuwani gini kara. Wun weng uramte mune. Pian dini mani inka yeta ki dame pi. Iponi itaka. Kwa yeta ni tiki fam. Iponi gine. Loan money business my channel. Pingo PDM. Why don't PDM successfuls get shown by Museveni? Because there is none. Petting a remember launch PDM ya. PDM you very why go kati. Tell John teach am kai with table come on. Gwok bu fari yere chamko. Where enbo chamko. Chogo mo bolu get gwoko. Ena ye kita Johnny ti ukere ki Uganda. One ki fari wa fari kit in. Wako be lutami. Oh, ngata kara beba. Ina el kira gwok waro kere. Gine. Ready. Pien gwok ngeni ready ni obo mine gimo. Gwok pe par ni redo mine. Chowan bere. Ani beri mecha. Pien gwok ngeni en pe rom kidano. One dong Ugandans wangi yo kame berni. One power rom ki Johnny. Johnny miera gube kama be. One be kama right. No. I'm explaining that the way that they treat Ugandans is that, for example, if you're having dinner at the table, yes, if you're having dinner at the table or you're eating at the table, the dog is on the floor. You can drop some crumbs for the dog. That dog appreciates the owner because there will be crumbs. That dog also knows that they can never be a human being to sit at that table. That dog will never complain and say, why don't I get a plate at the table? Because that dog thinks the table is special for human beings. So we are conditioned somehow in Uganda to think that they are better than us and we must enjoy crumbs. That is what PDM is. It's just crumbs while they enjoy the real deal. This Kanyesige guy is enjoying Ugandan sweat, but we're getting the crumbs. Okay? So, Jalma kilwoni Kanyesige ni, o lo Janet Museveni ni auntie ne. My young one to Kanyesige senior, Janet uchera iliel ka yikuno, pien geno berwat. Wunu ne don kita video ke kwanyu ki gang kere we. Ena ye kita ki moko kere chira Uganda. Ena ye kita Minister of Education bere aki at Guinea. Jamina wengti meki kingi wadi or kilurem. That is how it works. Jovia Kanyesige of Mubende was not elected. She was appointed. The opponent was destroyed completely. Dano makilwoni Jovia mamian Kanyesige madong Museveni waro ni fameti bedu twali. Dao enu ni po karukui. Museveni kwanyu chiba kunu ni eni mak eni. Jami wengti kin Johnny. Jogangi keken. Nano. This one is even hard to explain. But I'm going to tell you and leave it out there. Ginabi titu ukomberi chawani. An kikoma. Bange yu kita jamineti mekere. An pedano mati lokom jok. Kilok me jok. Ben pamero. Ento abi titu ukita jamineti ka wot kere. Waunge kita Museveni ti ukwede. Look, maybe titu ukomberi chani. Jomongo botamani anda po. Some of you are going to think I'm going nuts. But I'm not. I'm just going to share with you this information as it is. From the source. This is from the source. Okay? This is some spiritual stuff that these guys have been using time immemorial. I'm just going to lay it out there. Take it or leave it, but believe it or not, it's part of the weave of these guys, of how they exist. Okay. Going into the spiritual world of Museveni. After all the atrocities that happened, okay, the children of Gaba, the accidents, there was an accident where there was a train wreck. I think they hit a vehicle or something. In the Gaba incident where the so-called murderer, you notice that the case is almost dying down. It's quiet. They said they're going to kill the guy who did it. We haven't heard anything. That is likely going to just die down and disappear. Because what that guy did, or whatever the circumstance was around that incident of the Gaba children, was all planned and done by Museveni and his people. Okay? So, the Gaba children, if you watch that video or you watch the scenarios, the pictures from that place, thank you, Winnie. Thank you so much for your flowers. Thank you. I appreciate that. The Gaba children, only one of those children had any blood. Imagine cutting somebody that they lose breath. That will mean you cut the main vein to the brain, which is called the jugular. Because once you cut that, there'll be less blood going into the brain and somebody would die. The fact that that was done, the machete guy apparently sliced their neck. They should have had a pool of blood by each child. But that never happened. There was only one child who had some blood on him. And the blood was like, you know, when many of you have cleaned up chicken. The blood was in little bits and drops, not as much. So anytime these guys are planning these atrocities, because all these accidents are planned by Museveni, okay? Anytime Museveni plans these atrocities because he needs some blood to go and sacrifice to his gods or whatever, he sends his team of people to collect that blood because he wants to use them for something. It is in the spiritual realm. I'm not familiar with it, but I'm giving you as it is, okay? So, the blood from those children was taken away. I'm going to tell you how it's been used. All of the accidents, there was blood collected for spiritual use. The 666 cows that I told you about that he was going to slaughter for the ceremony of the swearing in to be consumed all over Uganda, that is also blood that was collected. All of it was collected and taken to Museveni. This is how the blood was used. Blood from the accident of the train was given to African leaders who attended the swearing in ceremony. Somehow it was mixed in their food. Somehow in the spiritual world, Museveni was told that because a train symbolizes unstoppable speed, and trains cross borders, and trains go between several countries, the reason why he was to give blood to those people, the African national representatives, was so that for his longevity to proceed, his dynasty to continue, and borderless like a train, and unstoppable like a train moves. So the symbolism in that was to serve those people that blood. I don't know what they do to the blood before they serve or mix it in and stuff. So anyway, the purpose of that symbolism of the train is that a train goes all over the world borderlessly, in Africa, for example, and it is unstoppable. So his dynasty of the Bachwezi will be unstoppable. This meaning Muhozi and on and on and on. So train is unstoppable. Railways connect nations. Only trains are the only vessel that use train tracks. So, meaning Museveni alone will be powerful in the rest of Africa. That is the symbolism, because train tracks are only, a car cannot go on train rails. It's only a train that can travel on train tracks. That even though Museveni is gone, his dynasty continues in Africa. At every accident, there were spiritual people collecting blood. The Gaba children's blood was given to Ugandans, especially the young generations who were at the swearing in going to eat pilau. Tons of people were brought from different parts of Uganda, actually. In Gulu, there were about 7 to 10 buses of people who were shipped from Gulu to be brought to Kampala to attend the swearing in. These are villagers who just want to see Kampala because somebody said Kampala exists. Not because they were happy to come into the swearing in of Muhozi. No, not that. So I'm going to repeat this eventually. Ginabi what you want to talk about. Wundo Jomo can put down we are baleba. We are poor ballet. I mean to would Johnny ma Johnny, Kita Johnny, better query. Okay? Ginabi tito when he lockom jock, and pan la jock, and pamirja majok, ben patimo. Ento Museveni umaga we Ugandans, mogi jock, mogo kigena, kikwa may come down. Pian jocks is spiritual. Nano. So, wunu nano ta mo beru kati metu twa lelu tiano make to ngudgi gaba. Make wa ikono nyom money yo to ngudgi ni. Ikarima video nyo chalo kati manyuro lutiano enoni kikama go to ayeni. Wunu wi wubi poni remu uberu pere ikama kino kom lutini. Buram dok cheno nano videos nano chalego ni. Anati ati uti ma dakta anangeyu ni tie kamogo maka ingolo unyo kari accident time remu romo otumo ko kikomi. Tutwale ka ngudano. Kiwachi la chono charchi to lutini ngudgi pian rombe da dabe na pian to ma lutini to ne guto yoro manyuti no to gina ter remo e adamu idano adamu I kapeno remo manyuti pen romo no yang makiloni oxygen wa no mere to ikarma nok pero mo kar melach so lutini ani gina kira ke waji kede lutini ani kigamu gi kicharo kichine go gi kikamoni ka kiduki gi kakenyo marremo gi kitoro gi komgi ka kiduki gi kibolo gi kenyo mengo wek don ki di panga ching jal moni ni wek kese ni do wara nyim ki wachi la chone o to dan pian ko ni wegi luteno penyo wi angote luteno wa neno so kari ni ke kete luteno ki nego gi ka kenyo remo pa luteni char kwane gina dan waju en ki jogi kunu waju ni Johnny and Kamo can ma accident to me, yeah. Chalo accident money ma go down ki money ni. Accident mo go me batch ma down to mo okay batch. A joke in your job am 7 gi lobo ko. Accident no plan ti yeah. No don't go nge bote me. Gin or jog ni berga lupu kama accident bote me. Te accident me lipa remo ki kwanyu ki ter war mo 7. Remo ni mo 7 jogo pian mo 7 mero tem jog with Ugandans. Kenyu. Aya. Diai ma wachi wuni Museveni bongolo diai mia bichel ki per bicheli ma wa bi ngolo ki bi poko wa Uganda wen dan wa botemo pati ki bi chamo ko diai kwango diai ego ni ngole jomo char ko lo ku chamo chele ku cham diai ma donata diai ma ki ngolo kunu ni remo ki bana ki jogo meti ja jwaka neno remo ma ki kom accident me gani ga mo ni mo go dan ko go markani ma down to yeni remo ni ki jolo eni ki kero pat Remo ni Museveni uti ukere Letting man is swearing in. I dekpa joma lutela mai lobo me Africa mako bino kaneno kaberi swearing in nani. Johnny enuni guchamo remo eni Museveni no rubo kokoni I muchele ko rio enjo ko ngoma gimoni mani maguchamani kirubo ga iye remo eni guchamo. Manyuti gina Museveni timu pingoki gina kirubo remo eni pien Museveni wachi ga oberugian ma per choke ina ga ka do ero ngwejong per choke ba wanga ki wachi ga ine buchero chung tororo madong ka do chok o tororo dong nyano brek mot piano no chok o kama no miero chung yeni ineno so Museveni wachi kita ga pe chungi en pe miete tela ne unyo tela palutino ne unyo dynasty pa bachwezi o chung en symbolism en well en gina ga gino wero ultimo accident me gani pien remo yani no aki kama gati ye remo yani no me ukilo tela yani wengwe lu tela yani ngeni we go poi ko Museveni maka gi modo beti Museveni down wenga wa Museveni do Museveni ini what Museveni oh yeah we tela pa Museveni potum nie pota gino kana maga nyuru ena ye railway paga kama ga worki yani ga ke kana ye worki ki railway mutaka para mwe railway Manyuti Museveni miet en kena ye law en ki family ne ki bachwezi dynasty ke kena ye law Uganda mono yoni bana gutwe ka kenyu genu kene railway nyoga rio ka weng ilobo weng ko ga ti mangol cher Tanzania ngol cher Congo ngol cher kwene en loka en ni wa Museveni mieti en mi remo yani wek en chal Museveni ibe no rom donyo kama ke ken chamo e ken la boya yela nyo jona nyo luteno ne la boya yela en do ti ukiremo en ni me weko ni gine somehow donyo wi joni kon utime ke nini mon wen ti jok ento utimo kuma en pigine ni wek en law Africa unyo e Africa dan wi go po chawa wen ni Museveni eto me wa ba Museveni ila tela wa unyo jopa Museveni ke ken ilutela okay Remo pa lutino gaba lutino mari makingolo gini maguto igankwane remo enne Museveni utiukere muchele mani madano me to doge kololoni ni uchar ka cham muchele uchar ka cham dek kono yopa Museveni wen no uchar ye uchar ka cham me remo enne ke poko kunu wek won lo Uganda wi wu poti unge ni Museveni ke kana ye ngo la tela unyo jopa Museveni ke kan era ye gena ye ngeyu tela Uganda wanjo kana ni dongwa ben ma wi lo kom tela Dok mier Uganda zo ben maluo dida. Dok mier bulu me Uganda o ma ena deda. Ena well pol down ber kuno ber down matiam bulu ge. Jo charo ka lwen pi muchele mani ma Museveni teru kololoni. Uchamo gi ugi mani. Ko beta woni Museveni do. Museveni pe yot ba. Distribution mere mo mukene mo donge. The rest of the Gaba blood was given to the Pilau locations around the ceremony at Kololo. The people who went to get Museveni's food on the swearing-in day, those got a sample of it. They got some of that. To make sure, this was to make youth respect Museveni and love Museveni, to divert youth from thinking about any other leadership except them. Okay? The rest of the distribution goes this way, of the blood. NRM caucus, there will be another session where they'll cook for them and have them eat that. The new parliament, the parliament canteen, and any parliamentary session that you're going to go, Museveni is going to invite all new MPs to go and do this and that and the other. You're going to have some too. The meeting of religious leaders, Museveni is going to call them to come and celebrate his win. They will be served that. Like I said before, Museveni serves Muslim leaders during the end of Eid pork. I'm telling you, these guys can humiliate. And he doesn't care. So the next bits of blood is going to the meeting of religious leaders. The other batch will go to the UPDF functions in celebration of their win. The next one will go into the Interreligious Council. You will also be invited, or somehow you may even have your own meetings, but the blood will get to you somehow. Museveni will make it happen. Parties in every region or district, all celebrations of NRMs of this and that in different regions are going to get a sample of this. Jomi NRM caucus, gubi beri gene, gubi tium patigi, melon kuiko, mono eni gubi chamu remo. Jomi parliament matika charmanyene, Museveni boluongi o weng, ni kuchet gu gene, I meeting kwango I party, weng gubi chamu remo eni bene. Jomi ludirodini, kibiluongi, Kita wachi wuni Museveni genatema madong chilu lawyer mata mani robami rofuri. Ine aro chilami kar ine aro mano dong gugiro gino kar ma gugiro fasting. And magitema duwe kidweni. Inge fasting kichero kichamu gene chamma diet kilone idiko. Museveni luongi parliament kacha. Inge gena state house inge gena Museveni minigo pego. Rio pego and he rubo by there. Chilam chamu pego but Museveni. Museveni right ba. Anyway. Jomo kene MP manyan I canteen gi kacha I parliament. Remo beberu kono. Meeting pa Lutela Dini awajo. Jo UPDF ki yubo function. Mono bene go be no. Interreligious council. Ludiru Dini mapari. Go be beri go be cherry go be beri ki function bene go be chamo. Party mo kene me katuku yubo beri district mapari. Anyway, John, but no sample. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about, and maybe the second to last. Yeah, second to last. The mafia printed a lot of money during the campaign period. Lots of fake Ugandan currency was printed and is in circulation. Ikarama campaign timeni. Museveni gugu yubo chene gugo chene hockey art. And chene magin ki goy ki patch ki yubo ka ki char ki pone. Gugo luak chene deda. Chiku beri chani dong gitika nongoni. Kita gamenta dong tika gene. Do la ka o chene maraj dong mier po beringa e ching down. So gitika wachi jo matiki chene egu maraj ni. Guchak ticho kwere. Manyuti gubu bira wilo building materials meger jemmi gubu bira kamino wila tata. Chene ene do bodoni ching down tata ba luchar will. Mai karema kibi chako mako danu pi chene maraj. Anga gima kibi mako. Unjo mao char will bod Johnny. Kibi ma wo weng pi beru ki chene mango multi counterfeit. Chene marach. Kuno gena yo goy chene no ba. Chene billions ma kibi ka yene kere ka wengi. Anita mongi bene no tikere. Chene ene kibi ma kere down le quick chi wori buch. So the fake currencies that were made during the election period they're hurrying up. They're saying use that money quickly because we need to get it out into circulation so that we are not held up with it. So in the moment of, okay, they said use it mainly for construction materials or merchandise or whatever. This means that when the time comes for them to catch people with counterfeits or fake money, guess who is going to have a lot of fake money? The businesses in Uganda. A lot of our brothers and sisters who are doing well with certain businesses, hospitals, construction materials, those are the first culprits. It'll be time to shut them down. It'll be time to put them in jail. It'll be time to, all of that will get further more people to get imprisoned or lose their lives due to counterfeits that were made by the Musevenis themselves. You would think they could just destroy the money. No, they're going to pass it down to the local level. And that's where they'll come and arrest people for something they did themselves. They're crazy. So, they continue with their operations of destroying Kampala, breaking buildings. Like I said, the president's home is not going to survive. Busabala, they want it destroyed. They want to take over Busabala. This just goes to show you, if they can do things like this, to His Excellency Chagulanyi Sentamu, imagine you. Imagine us. Imagine what they can do to us. So I love you and leave you. This was long and I'm sorry, but I had to catch up on a lot of things. I hope you have a good day. I hope you have a good night. I hope you have a good evening. I love you very, very much. Stay well, and I'll see you soon on the next video. Take care.